Hello, what is up, people? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast. And today we are here to recap a very special Power episode, and that's Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 10. And the title of the episode is Made You Look. And I'm joined today by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I'm also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you doing, Dana?
I am doing very well. I'm very happy to see what popped off. So this was a really, really exciting show.
I might have to play a drinking game because looking at your title there, you're pretty breezed out. So I might have to play the drinking game today. Um, but yeah, very interesting episode. First of all, let me explain. While we're late, of course, stars they didn't want this to leak out, even though if you really pay attention, like if you go to the dark webs, you probably saw what was going to happen. Like you probably saw, a little hint of something. But yeah, they were being very stingy with this episode, so we didn't get it early. So and with our time difference, I'm in the UK, so that kind of held the show up a little bit because we needed some time to watch the show and get things together. But finally, we are here just a little bit late, and yeah, there is a lot to talk about. Very exciting finale. We got our big surprise, and there's still a lot to speculate about as well. Looking at Dana's title there, there's still a lot to speculate on. So yeah, I don't even want to delay too much. Shouts to all the people, all the people who are consistently commenting. The Rainy Jays, the Tracys, Inga, and yeah, everybody who participates in the show. We appreciate all of you. Definitely hit the like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We won't delay too much. We're gonna get right into the takeaways, and it is my turn to go first. And let me say also that because we didn't get this early, I have like no notes. So as a good man once said, I'm flowing straight from the survival scrolls right now, like the survival scrolls, which is my mind right here. So, oh, she's got notes though. She's got notes. So that's like Dana actually, because Dana, she interviews, so she gets she got it actually early, but me and Rich had to wait. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so yeah, let me get right into it. I'm going to start out by saying, and maybe people might be unhappy with me when I say this. I'm going to say something a bit controversial, but I'm not happy with how Ronnie went out. Like, I'm not happy with how Ronnie died. Just because I feel like he was built up to be this incredible villain the entire season. And I feel like the last couple episodes, he's just been slacking. Like he's just been an average guy. Like they built him up to be Michael Myers. We had all these memes. Like he was this super, you know, incredible villain. Like that was intoxicating to watch. And we thought he, killed Unique and everything. Like, and I feel like this episode just kind of took everything away from him. Like he it was like he wasn't smart anymore or something. Like, and I guess you could say, he trusted Kanan too much or whatever. I just feel like they didn't set that up. It didn't, like if they want us to go with the notion that he died because he trusted Kanan too much and he didn't trust anyone else, but he trusted Kanan. I feel like we should have seen that play out a bit more. We didn't really see that play out. Like we didn't see any explanation of why he trusted him so much. Like um, they just started working together and like they were hanging out together and that's it. Like we didn't really get any reason why he trusted him. like so much to whereas he would turn his back to him, get on the ground and get the money, like, and he seemed so happy just to get the money, like he seems so vulnerable in that moment, like, and he's never seen, he's never looked that vulnerable, like he's never looked that exploitable in the show. So it was kind of hard to believe that it ended that easily, you know, that he could just be killed that easily. Like, so yeah, that's how I feel about Ronnie's death. I feel like it was just too quick, too quick, too simple. Uh, you know, because they did such an amazing job of building up the character this season, and it was just over just like that. You know, just because it's the finale, like it was just a little too clean for my liking. But I did like the little build up to the meeting, like just the not knowing that, you know, not knowing what's going to happen. That was done well. There was a lot of suspense there, like, oh, what's going to happen? You know, like is, you know, because we were led to believe that Ronnie legit kidnapped Kanan, so we was under that assumption. So like, you know, the what's going to happen element was done well, but you know, just how it played out, I wasn't a total fan of, you know, with how Ronnie died. Um, so that's the first takeaway. Second takeaway, Howard. So I mean, I guess you could kind of tell he was on his way out, you know. It was kind of easy to tell. Like the moment he said he's going to the meeting, I was like, all right, he ain't, he's not gonna make it. Like something's gonna happen to him. But you know, in the back of my mind, I was also thinking maybe it's part of his plan. Like maybe he has something planned to set up Marvin or something. Like maybe he has something in place to where he's gonna implicate Marvin and get him arrested so that, you know, he can kind of clear his name or whatever. But nope, it was just, you know, he showed up. We know Raquel is she's very calculating. She's always two steps ahead of things. So she knew what she was going to do. And that's what I love about Raquel's character. You know, I love her strength and her, you know, deductive thinking and everything and her calculating mind and stuff. Like she's very good at that. Patina Miller does a great job. Um, but yeah, Howard, like, it's finally over. Like, I'm surprised. Like I have to say, his storyline was handled really well this season. I like that. You know, he shocked us in the first episode with that killing, that murder, and yeah, like you could just by watching his story play out, you could see that he was on his last legs, and that you know either the character was gonna get caught or he was going to end up dead, and he ended up dead. And I think it was a great end for the character to be portrayed by Raquel like that. You know, given that those two were the whole reason why you know everything happened. Like they had Kanan. You know, obviously it's implied that Howard took advantage of Raquel when she was young. You know, because she was much younger and everything. So yeah, it all came full circle, and and I'm just thinking about this from Kanan's perspective too, because I mean, he just watched his mother kill his father, you know. So I wonder if that's going to play on his mind moving forward, you know, seeing that because they didn't really have much time to process it because they had to obviously get out of there, you know, they had to flee. But I want to see what that is going to do to Kanan, the character, moving forward, like, you know, in the next season, like just seeing that, because that's not something easy to see, you know. I know that he was supposed to kill Howard in the first season, but, you know, he survived. And then Kanan somewhat had, you know, they hung out a little bit. They had somewhat of a connection in season two. They hadn't really had much of a connection recently, but still, he knows that this is his father, and he's not in good standing currently with his mother. So you know, seeing his mother kill his father like that, just so cold heartedly and emotionless, like that had to do something to him. And I want to see, you know, what his reaction is going to be to that in the next episode, you know, in season four. So that's my second takeaway. And there's so much more to talk about, but we're gonna get to that. But unique, I have to obviously I have to, talk about unique. So yeah, we saw the New York Tims enter the scene at the end. Like and I mean at that moment it was pretty obvious who it was. Like once we saw that, I was like, okay, yeah. No, actually, the moment I knew that we were going to see Unique was when Raquel and them were fleeing. Kanan, and them. Somebody was watching. Like they made it clear somebody was watching from a distance, just the way the camera, like, kind of, positioned itself. So in that moment, I was like, okay, Unique's watching. Like Unique's there. So yeah, like once they did that, I was like, okay, Unique. And then yeah, we saw the Tims, and then the camera pans up, and then we see him, his expression looking down at his brother, and yeah, like we see the scar, like where he was beaten and stuff, like. So yeah, Unique is alive. He survived. Um, and yeah, how I feel about that. I mean, I'm in two minds about it. Um, so there's good and bad here, that I have to say. The good thing is, like, Joey Badass is a great actor. Unique was a great character. So I'm happy that we're getting more of Unique. And obviously the possibilities are endless too, because there's all the speculation now. Is he Breeze? Is he going to turn out to be Breeze now? Because I've seen some people talking like, oh, like maybe the damage that was done to him, it could have changed him, and that's why now he's going to start watching Jeopardy and stuff like that. Like, it could have like changed something in him. So like I've seen, a lot of people with their speculations and stuff. So they could go in that direction, or he could just still be plain Unique. And one theory I have is that in the next season, Raquel and Marvin are going to have to lie low, because that investigation is not going to end just like that, just because Howard is dead. And also, they're going to want to find out who killed Howard and why. So there's going to be a lot of heat on Marvin and Raquel, because Marvin was already a suspect. So they can't continue to run their drug operation like they were already. So my theory is that it's going to be left to Kanan to run it, because he already has the system in place, and perhaps Unique is going to step in and be his partner. Like maybe they're going to do it together, and that would explain. Now, if you've been doing some digging on the internet, you've probably seen a picture, a little picture out there of Joey Badass on the set of season 4, and he's coming out of Kanan's apartment. So that would explain a lot of things if they're going to be working together, and stuff, and then that also ties in with the theory that he's Breeze, I guess, as well. But who knows? That's all speculation. But yeah, so I feel like that might be the direction. I think Raquel and Marvin have to lie low. Kanan's going to take over, but they're going to be like, watching over his shoulder, maybe giving him advice, something like that, basically. But yeah, this was a pretty cool surprise. Unique returning, Joey Badass. As you can see, my title here, front row at the Joey Badass tour. Uh, my colleague here, Richard, he informed me that Joey Badass told a little lie. What was the lie, Rich? Let the people know.
Yeah, this guy has been trolling us, since he was taken off the show, because he had said he's going on tour. And then when I did a Google search for Joey Badass to see when he's going on tour, his next performance is not until like the beginning of the summertime in June. At that point, they had already started filming season 4. So that's how I said, okay, yeah. So obviously this guy was not being honest when he said that. But I'm glad he's back. I'm sure we're definitely going to talk more about that. But yeah, that's what he was telling people. And then, of course, he had that interview in People's Magazine talking about how angry he was. He got taken off the show. They trolled fans really hard on that, so I got to give it to them on that one.
Oh yeah, they got us good with that one. They got us good. So so props to them for that. Okay, so the bad thing I was gonna say was just that, the first like I don't know, the first like half of this, well, not even a half, like first 3 quarters of this season was like so incredible in terms of like the realism, the grittiness of the show and everything like that. Like it just felt very authentic. And of course, it's nice to have a big twist or a nice little swerve here and there. But like this kind of just takes away a little bit of the realism, the realistic element, a little bit, just a little bit. But I mean, it's TV, so and it's power and it's TV. So maybe I was just expecting too much, but I was just mesmerized by like the realism and the grittiness that this season was like, that it was having at the start. It was bringing me back to like the Wire shows, like the Wire and stuff like that. Just felt very real, very realistic. Now the whole unique, like death fake out thing, it does feel a bit TV-ish. It comes off as a bit TV-ish, but hey, it is TV, so I can't be too mad. Like I just feel like there's shows that do the realism aspect very well, and the grittiness and the realism, like they do it very well to where you forget that you're watching TV, and that's the feeling that this show was giving me, up until that. Now that's just me being, a little bit nitpicky there, probably. Like that's just a personal thing. So I'm not saying that the episode was bad or it sucked or anything like that. Like it was a very good finale. Like this is probably the best Raising Kanan finale of all of them, like in my opinion. So I'll give them that, you know. But just that, it's just that little thing. But at the same time, I'm happy that Unique is back because he's such a great character. So don't get me wrong. But but yeah, that's all of my takeaways. There is a lot more to say, because there was Lou, there's Jukebox, but we're gonna get to all of that. Maybe these two fine people are gonna mention some of that in their takeaways, but if not, we're gonna have our questions and discussions too. But those are my takeaways. And next, we're gonna hear from Dana. So, Dana, when you're ready, give us your takeaways.
I just want to say I am my brother's keeper because I knew Malcolm not, Howard was dying weeks ago because Lincoln Center spoiled it in a flyer in a way that you wouldn't fully understand unless you watch the show and you read into things. They're having, or they already had, a retrospective into Omar Epps' career, meaning it already happened. And one of the topics was Raising Kanan, along with Juice and all the other movies. But why would you say that word, Raising Kanan? So I knew he was gone weeks ago. So yay me. I was waiting for him to go in season 2. Well, actually season 1. So we won anyway. Yay. So I want to start off by saying Marvin, no, not Marvin, Lulu. Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. And I hate to say this, but it's very true. If Power was an all white show and Malcolm Mays was a white man, he would have got his Emmy already. That's just how I feel. Especially when it comes to this season, he would have gotten at least an Emmy nomination already. And what I do love about this show, and this goes back to a conversation that we had a couple years ago at the TCH, which stands for the Television Critics Association, when Power was presenting their show, like Raising Kanan, and one of the white women, who, very judgmental, why are you having these kind of shows? All it does is promote violence within the black community. And that's when I was waiting for 50 Cent to knock her head off, but he is very poised at what he said, which is our shows are no different than Goodfellas, Godfather, all of these great Italian Scarface, these white shows that you have to such high self-esteem and acclaim over. Only thing is you see black people and therefore you think our shows are lesser than. And if you really pay attention to it, this just in general, even going back from the original Power series, this show, this universe is not bang bang, shoot it up, get the money, get the drugs, get the hoes. Oh, we live in life. This is not what this is at all. This shows the consequences of everyone's actions for what you believe is easy money, for what is supposed to be a quick way to get you out of your circumstances, and how poverty continues that cycle. So we're not able to get, say, the big time office jobs in, I don't know, Goldman Sachs. And then that's a whole nother story about systematic racism. But there's the point of which I'm saying. I want to highlight the beauty of what Malcolm Mays has done with the Lulu character and also the writers, because hand in hand, to show such deep regret emotions for this character, I, in a way, feel like a lot of this series, especially this season, was giving more voice to the Lulu character, especially when you talk about ghosts and how they come back to get you, how it's not easy to, do the things that you think you can do, such as killing and all of the dark side that comes with getting money, and how everybody has a conscience, and you can go one of two ways. We have Kanan, which we know is adult Kanan, shuts that off. But then we have Lulu, who's unable to. And while you may not die in the streets or die in a jail, remember that's just that's just an option of many outcomes. I feel, and we've had this discussion before, he is already dead. And remember, he literally tried to kill himself in this episode. And just the emotion and the passion that he has brought to this, where we have watched this character have a complete mental breakdown, was completely and utterly brilliant. And I truly love what he's done with the character, and kind of what he's done just in general with his acting skills, because it's superb. You're pulling back layers. Well, this is a three-dimensional character, and when they say, "Oh, people are not always built for this," he is that warning. And I think every Power iteration has that warning. We have that. We have the Lamar situation with BMF. Um, we have Tariq and Ghost and all of those characters. So for me, Lulu, and we'll get into this later on, was truly exceptional, and how it coupled with the theme of therapy. How therapy is something that is not really prominent in the Black community, and especially something in the 90s. I think we're in 92. Black people don't go to therapy, and it's the same thing as pray your problems away. That don't work for us. We need the genuine communication. We speak the problems out loud so that we can recognize them. We don't repeat them again. But for some people, when you say it out loud, they're not equipped with the tools to handle with that. And I think this also bleeds into Raquel. Raquel hears everyone else's problems, but no one hears Raquel's. And that's why I think that opening scene with Lulu and Raquel in the therapy office at Cedar Shores was so important, and it's just really beautiful with how they did it. One of the things that also is interesting is the fact that we have Kanan, and yes, we had the great big plot twist of of this season. But if you kind of look at it, it was the plot twist that we had in Power with Tariq. It just went completely awry, and then it was double crossing. But you see, and this is why I always say in my heart and my soul, Tariq is actually Kanan's son. You see these patterns that play out years later in life. So Tariq was faking his kidnapping. Remember the whole bag? He got beat up with a bag of oranges. He really sold that. And this one really tests and shows just how much Kanan, I think, is still holding on to that anger with Raquel, but how much Raquel still loves him, irregardless of all of that. And when I interviewed Patina Miller, she said she's willing to do anything for her son. And this double crossation, in a weird way, I wonder if it's a double crossation. And here's why I say this. Breeze, sorry, Unique is alive. We don't know who saved him, because last time we saw him, he was in those bushes. We definitely thought, at least me, he was dead. So clearly, someone had to pick him up, dust him off, and put him back together. And he retained his memory to know that this was Rodney. Or even if he didn't retain his memory, the streets knew it was Rodney. What is interesting is this is where I was wondering. Kanan feels that Unique somehow is I'm not going to say father figure, but maybe his equal. I'm not sure exactly the relationship between the two. But Kanan definitely knew. This wasn't like some random Unique pulling up to the spot and be like, haha. This I felt was really orchestrated. But my question is, was it by Unique? I don't think it was Kanan. I truly think this whole thing was orchestrated by Unique. The one thing that they didn't expect was for Howard to be there. And I think that's where Kanan was truly horrified at his mother. Because not only, okay, you killed someone, cool, great. You killed my dad. There's a feeling behind that. Even as complicated as it may be, there's a feeling behind him about him watching the murder of his father. Which then, if you look forward to the original, he kills his son. So mother kills father, mother kills father, son kills son. So that's an interesting dynamic of how they played. Um, and we honestly won't get the answers until next season on how he feels about that. Um, but it's very interesting how he set it up so that Rodney can be murdered. But my whole thing was he always waiting for Raquel to kill him, or was the goal for him to kill him? And did he kill him because he stood behind his mother, or did he kill him for Unique? That's one of the things I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out the bond with Unique. And again, did he kill him for Unique for Raquel? Because she knew that Unique and Raquel were things. So it was like, I'm killing him for you, Mom? I don't know. And that's the big question that I still have, which is great because we still have questions when it comes to the next season. Another thing that was really fantastical for me was the fact that what was it, was famous. And this kind of bleeds into the whole Lulu situation. And also you can argue jukebox. Because, with these two characters, they really don't want anything to do anymore with the Thomas family. It's kind of that everything that you're around them, so you fall with them as well. And so famous being the one who could most likely take down this family is something that's completely unexpected. But then it goes back to the whole theory of power itself, of always keep an eye on the people you cross. And while, him and Kanan and Famous didn't get into like that big kind of fight with like he killed his mom, he still in a way disowned him and crossed him. And you can feel some kind of way about that. So I wonder, is he gonna be the one to actually bring down his family? Which is an interesting concept, and we still don't know where the name Sean comes from. But I do find it interesting that a Sean in the future is killed because he's too weak. Does this Sean in the present that we have now, does he end up becoming too weak and he somehow doesn't blame them and then he gets charged? I don't know. So that is an interesting thing to solve or to figure out. With this ending, I feel that they kind of made everything worse. I personally love the return of Unique. I understand how you guys wanted Ronnie to be a bigger villain, but this is the streets. And what did The Wire teach us? You could be taken out anytime. And I thought it was actually poetic because if you go back to season not season, to episode, I believe it was episode 3, Brothers and Keepers. Maybe it was 4 or 5, I'm not sure. But it was 5, sorry. Brothers and Keepers. It talked about when they had that fight, that big showdown on the fight, how it basically says that once you start fighting, you lose sight of what you're fighting for, you're fighting against. And that's when it says, that's when things get dangerous. Brother turns on brother. That's when things fall. Who was associated with Ronnie? Pops and Snaps. Remember they said, oh, we good because we're Switzerland. They're not Switzerland anymore. Switzerland has to now join in the war. So we have that avenue coming. Is Unique going to be enough? Because I do see Unique being on like Team Rock. But is it Unique enough for Raquel to face against Moms and Pops and Snaps? I don't know. So that's how you open it up more. Now with the death of Howard, the FBI is like, well, it's definitely Marvin now. And we don't know how things are. Maybe the bum in the street, houseless person in the street saw him. Because remember, we do have, we've seen the homeless people snitch on them before. So who's to say someone didn't see Marvin coming out of the warehouse? Oh, we're going to just pin everything on Marvin. Does Marvin still end up taking the fall or blame for everything? And also, without Howard, even though Howard deserved to die in season 1, who does he have on the inside? Who does Raquel have? In a way, Howard was useful until he started to film himself. And another thing about Howard's speech, I know I'm doing more than 3, and I apologize. Another thing about Howard's speech, he took no accountability. And I think if he took accountability for anything ever in this season, he might have lived. That whole thing with, I wish I never met you. You and that kid is the worst thing ever. And I'm sitting here like, you was the one who was sexually assaulted a minor. But no, it's her. And it reminds me, like, it sounds like someone was like, well, she wanted it. So, it takes no accountability of everything. And he even predicted his own death. Remember, he stated, oh, it's the last thing I'll do. So everything that he said came out of his mouth, which, by the way, is one of the laws in the 50th Power of the Law, that book that 50 Cent wrote. So, yeah, I'll start rambling now, and you guys can take it on from here. But I do have more, because it was a very good episode.
Excellent theories, excellent takeaways. I like what you said about the possibility of Unique actually, being in on the plan with Kanan somehow, because there is a lot of talk about that. So, that's something we'll have to come back to in a little bit, because that could be a possibility to where Kanan was maybe aware that Unique was alive or something. So we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, great assessment there, great takeaways, great analysis as always. And yeah, so let's hear from Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. next. So Richard, when you're ready.
Okay, so first and foremost, outstanding takeaways by both Dana and Gary. I don't know if I'm going to be quite as outstanding as the both of you, but that was fantastic thoughts so far as the episode is concerned. But so let me go ahead and start things off and say, I thought this was an outstanding season finale. I understand the point that Gary made earlier about Ronnie getting taken out the way he did, but I was okay with that, because I had said before on this podcast, Kanan is probably going to be the one that takes out Ronnie. And you knew that once it got to a situation where Ronnie crossed Kanan, that was it. We saw that earlier in this episode when Kanan had that argument with Ronnie. And he had made it very clear, you don't want to mess with me. So I kind of knew that was going to happen. I didn't understand it within the context of when they had the kidnapping, but when it all came together and when I saw that it was the plan, I figured, okay, this is where he turns on Ronnie. So I didn't have any issues with that. But I thought it was outstanding. So I just want to point that out. So as for my takeaways, mine's going to be pretty quick. My name for today's podcast is 12-Step Lou, because I like the line that Lou had when the feds came and questioned him, and he said, oh, do y'all want to go through this 12-step process with me? Sure, you're welcome to do that. I thought that was an excellent line. But to go to the point that Dana mentioned earlier, I agree 1000% with everything she said about Malcolm May's performance. And I absolutely, positively love the scene between him and Raquel because I feel like that was necessary. Both Bettina Miller and, she did an outstanding job in that. And I kind of feel like from the start of the season, we saw that Lou and Raquel, they always had an intense relationship. Right? You saw last season at the end of the last finale, she said, I own you, all this other stuff. I feel like as a viewer, you want to see them have some type of reconciliation. And I'm glad that we got that scene. It's a very emotional scene. I felt something from that. I mean, if you have a sibling, you may feel something from that. It was very well acted. So I hope that even if Malcolm Mays does not get an Emmy nomination, that particular scene deserves some type of nomination because they knocked it out the ballpark. To continue on with Lulu in this episode, Dana did make the prediction that he possibly was going to try to commit suicide. It's just this character is in a very, very dark place. And it makes me as a viewer very sad because obviously, you want to see this character get out of this. But obviously, it makes me curious to know what's going to happen going into the next season. Now, the way they started the episode, where it kind of looked like Lou was dead, and then you had the 50 Cent monologue on top of that, that was very well done because last week when we saw the episode, the way it was ending, it sounded as though Lou was a dead man. So how they started the episode, where you see him with his eyes closed, and then, all of a sudden you see he's in the office with Raquel, that was very well done. I have to give them credit for that. But overall, it makes me very curious to see what's going to happen with Lou next season. I definitely want the character to have some happiness trying to reinvent himself to some extent next season, but I have no idea because you understand he was defeated after he talks to the feds. He said, I'll always be the same person that I was. And as a viewer, I want to see him have some type of retribution, I want to say, next season. Some positive things happen for him. But we'll see what happens. My second takeaway of this episode, I want to talk briefly about Jukebox. Obviously, she did find out in this episode that Aisha really does like her. She cares about her a lot. And I know we had spoke about this before, that it was a possibility that these two were going to have some type of relationship. And of course, that's when she tells her that, well, I'm going to go away to the army for a while. Obviously, this episode takes place 2 weeks after all the stuff that happened in the previous episode. So I like that they had a time jump. But it definitely makes me curious to see what's going to happen with Jukebox character. Because, yeah, it does. You understand her point of view, that she wants to get away from her family for a while just to discover herself and see what more she can do in this life. So I look forward to seeing how her story continues going into next season. And I do want to give a shout out to Dana because she actually interviewed Haley, and the interview is currently on the channel. So check that out for sure. That was a great interview. In my final takeaway of this episode, man, Kanan in this episode, the entire storyline of how they set this thing up from the very start to the very end, how Kanan pretty much, he was told in the previous episode that that Raquel needs to be handled. And obviously he was thinking about how he was going to do that. They did hint that Crystal might be pregnant when you saw Kanan at the very start of the episode. And now we're going to see where that goes into next season. But pretty much, after Ronnie pulls the hit on Raquel, Kanan pretty much, Famous drops by Kanan's place and gives him a heads up, tell him, hey, are you okay? I heard what happened. And he is very angry when he comes, when he confronts Ronnie where Snaps and Pops are at the club. So at that point, like I said earlier, I knew when I saw that as soon as Kanan gets an opportunity, he's going to probably do something to Ronnie because he did not appreciate the fact that he went after his family. He already told him, we have business together as partners, but anything with my family is my business. You're not to get involved. So I appreciate and was glad that he did take action against Ronnie. And then obviously the whole thing about how it was set up, how the fact that Raquel, she did ask Stefano for money to give to Kanan because she thought the money was part of the ransom. But Kanan took that money So you know, I'm pretty sure that Stefano is going to want that money paid back. There's going to be some type of contingency that comes with that. So I want to see where they're going with that. But overall, everything that happened with Kanan in this episode, I thought was fantastic. You see Raquel finally killed Howard because there had to be a fall guy, right? They told us this entire season there had to be a fall guy. So I like that. But yes, I'm very curious to see what happens next season, because by the end of this season, there are a lot of questions to ask. But overall, I would say I thought this was a fantastic finale. I think that this was an outstanding season of Raising Kanan. And I'm going to once again make a comment that I made on the very first episode of this season. This is the best Power spinoff. I know people are going to have a lot of different theories about what is, you know, Ghost is an excellent show, by the way, but Force, no comment. But this is an outstanding season. And I look forward to seeing what happens in season 4. So stay tuned.
That no comment was hilarious, but yeah, I agree with you. Raising Kanan, the best spin-off of all of them. Like, and I'll even go as far as to say this season of Power is like, it might be the best season of Power that we've seen since maybe like season 3, season 4 of the original Power, in my opinion. Like, I'll go that far and say like this season 3 of Raising Kanan is one of the best seasons of Power, period, in my opinion. So yeah, so like when you guys listen to what I said in my takeaways, please don't think that I'm downing the show or anything like that. Like, I really loved this entire season and the finale, but it's just I had those, you know, I had a few just a little, you know, points to make about, you know, Ronnie and Unique, but I loved it. I loved all of it. But yeah, great takeaways as always, Richard. And so let's get right to, you know, the discussion segment, because there is a lot to unpack here. Now, so there's one question that I'm just gonna get it out the way early, you know, so then we can focus on everything else. But before I do this, I want to shout out, you know, a good friend of mine, Dimitri. He watches the show, loves the show. Yeah, I have to give credit to him because he called that Unique wasn't dead like a long time ago. Like, it was probably like episode 6 or 7. Like, because we talk about the show a lot. And yeah, he called it. He picked up on like everything they were saying about, oh, we didn't find the body and stuff. And he called it like, Unique's not dead. He's coming back. So I want to give him his props for calling that early on, because like after I saw episode 5, I was like, yeah, he's done. He's not coming back. Like, we saw the body dropped off. Like, but yeah, he was like one of the first person I saw said that. And then I also want to shout out Movie Bar as well, you know, because he's said a lot of stuff. But okay, so Unique. Let's go there, right? Now I don't know how many of you saw the picture. You know, there was a picture floating around of season 4 and everything. So a lot of people probably knew what was coming, but you know, there's been all this speculation the whole season. You know, the fandom has been trying to, you know, discuss, you know, the prospect of Breeze and when we're going to see Breeze, and if he's coming in this season, and who is going to be Breeze, and is Ronnie Breeze? Because, you know, that might be part of the made you look, you know, because everybody was so focused on Ronnie. You know, everyone thought Ronnie was Breeze. Clearly he's not now, you know, because I mean, a Breeze might hit his body or something, but you know, aside from that, he's not Breeze because he's dead. So, but one man is alive, and that is Unique. You know, Unique is alive, and we have to ask the question now: is Unique going to be Breeze? Is he going to fulfill the role of Breeze in season 4? And how is this going to take place? So, you know, one theory that I keep seeing is like he comes back, but like not everybody knows. Like, he's kind of on the down low, so like maybe only a few people know, right? And this is why Dana's theory of maybe Kanan knew makes sense, because maybe it could be a situation where Unique went to Kanan, like maybe he's been watching Ronnie, and he sees that he's, you know, with Kanan, and maybe Unique went straight to Kanan because he knows that's Raquel's son. So maybe I can get through to him, you know. And remember, what did Kanan say in the last episode? He said to his mother that you killed Unique, you know. But maybe he was running game, you know. He could have been running game, or he could have found out after that, you know. He could have found out after that that Unique is alive. And you know, maybe the two have been conspiring to get rid of Ronnie. So that's a possibility that's out there. I mean, I don't know if that's what they're going to do in season 4. That it might not be the case at all, but that is something a lot of people are suggesting. But the question that needs to be asked is he Breeze? Because, you know, if he does end up, you know, hiding the fact that he's alive from everyone, and, you know, becoming this mysterious character who only pops up here and there, you know, like, you know, a Breeze. There was like a saying that I saw that kind of expresses it perfectly. It's like, you know, a breeze, you don't feel it coming, but you know it's there, kind of thing, something like that, you know. Like, so maybe that kind of explains the mystique behind his character now. So like he could end up being that character. So let's just go ahead and talk about it. Do you guys think that Unique is Breeze? You know, that is the question I'm going to ask you. So Dana, you've got the name. A breezy breeze has breezed. Let us know what you think.
So, y'all have made me a Breeze fan. I know I was sick and tired of the Breeze, but the Breeze went by and I was like, yay, I love this. This is cool. This is comforting. Yay. Yes, that's Breeze. And here's why. So, what had happened was, I feel that, you know, Breeze is someone we don't see, at least we don't know of in Power. He's one of those characters that we're always constantly hearing about, right? But again, you guys said we don't really see him because that was the childhood part. I truly believe that this is Breeze because, already alluded to, he is someone that has to, you know, lay low. Clearly, he's laying low, and I think in season 4, this is me speculating, we're gonna start getting a transformation of characters. In terms of, we know that Jukebox is going to the army, right? And we know later on in the future, she changes her name. And what is one of the big things with her? I can't get away from this family. I have to get away from this family. I don't think she ends up going to the army because of the family and the FBI investigation. Maybe they talk to the army recruiting place. I don't know. They do a background check. Again, I don't know how these things go, but they realize, nah, we don't want her. She's too hot, right? And she's saying that it's the only place where I feel safe. I think the overall theme of this show is you can't get away. And these are about for people that succumb to unable to get away. Look at Lulu. He's unable to get away from Raquel, which is why he tries to commit suicide. He looks at something, and I don't really know what it is, but it stops him from fully hanging himself. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. We're going to start seeing that separation and it be more of a permanent thing. And I strongly believe that Unique as Breeze can give him that education of what he needs to run the streets. Ronnie, as you notice, he said that guy is even too crazy for me. I don't think you could fully learn stuff from him. Yes, you can, but it was like that abusive parent. Ronnie has a certain way that just doesn't work with people the right way, as opposed to Breeze. And Breeze making connections, or Unique making connections. So I feel that he is able to teach him some things, and we're still at a point where Kanan is mad at Raquel. And we've seen that, even though I'm not going to kill you because you my mama. You know, I'll set it up where, you know, anybody else, if they come for you, they're coming for me. We're going to get them together. But I still believe that they're mad at each other. And one of the things that I believe it was Ronnie or Howard said before they were murdered was basically is alluding to, she always has something up her sleeve. Would you look at that? Remember, Howard would say, "Oh, would you look at that?" He realized the crossing, and then that's when he got his head blown off. So I feel that there is kind of a mistrust. She is hiding things from Kanan. Understandably, he wasn't there. I think if he was there, they would have had a better communication. But they're still hiding things from each other. She didn't know about the cross, I don't feel. And she did say remember when we had a conversation with Marvin, it's the ones who love you, like essentially, it's the ones who love you most that will do the most harm to you. So I truly believed in that moment. She felt like she was being crossed by her son. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic where I do feel like now we're even now. I go my way, you go your way. And this is how we get Breeze Unique into the picture. So that is one of the things that, and he teaches him everything. And the fact that they use that apartment, which is technically Famous's, but they use that apartment, and we know that in the original Power, that's kind of where things still went down. So that's just, that's their apartment. That I think a lot of history is going to be made there. So I'm Team Breeze.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised to see that because because you were the one who didn't want to hear a word about Breeze, but now yeah,
Yeah,
now you're
the word
convinced.
about Breeze. I didn't see that Breeze was any important. I did not understand why y'all kept bringing in this character we never seen in the original series. But now I can understand why. We have to go separate ways. Jukebox changes her name. Kanan changes his name. If Lulu's still alive, maybe he changes his name. Everyone's getting new identities, it feels like to me. And who has the biggest secret identity? Breeze. So, yay. And he's gone like a breeze. There you go. Boom.
Yeah. So Richard, what's your take on this? Do you think Unique is going to end up being Breeze?
This is a very good question. So here's the thing. I do think that Unique is going to have to reinvent himself. One thing I do want to point out, because this was said earlier in the season, when Unique had his showdown with Ronnie made comment about Unique was always too busy trying to look pretty. And obviously, Joey Badass playing a character that dresses stylish, sort of like a pretty boy, right? This is how Ronnie was looking at him as. But the fact that he had this confrontation with Ronnie, got beaten with that pipe. Now, obviously, he does not look the same. We just saw his face. You saw his face was, clearly messed up. Didn't see the back of his head. So my thought is that obviously it is believable, I guess, that he can reinvent himself as a different type of character. But I'm like Dana's made the point in her takeaway just now about the fact that next season is about characters transforming. I definitely think you're going to start to see Unique different next season. Do I think that this means he can become Breeze? It certainly is a possibility. I will admit that I'm a bit thrown off because, Gary, there was a particular some information that was put out there on a Reddit about potential casting for next season. And there was somebody else that they said was going to be playing this character. So that's why I said, obviously, there hasn't been anything announced yet, so I don't really know. But do I think it makes sense with what you both just said? I do believe that, yes, Unique could be Breeze. I'm just very curious to see how they handle that next season because, again, like you said, there was he could have interacted with Kanan and they could have set up this plan. We don't know any of that because of the way that the episode went, the way it flowed. It looked like this was all a plan that Kanan had with Ronnie, and then he turned on Ronnie. So I definitely want to see where they're going with that. But I do believe that, once again, Joey Badass is an excellent actor. I know people were very upset when they thought he was dead. I saw there were protests online. This is unacceptable. The show is horrible now, and I'm not going to watch the show anymore. So I hope those people are actually going to continue to watch the show now and give the show its proper roses instead of saying it's garbage. Now they should say, okay, this show was outstanding because he's back. But on a serious tip though, I do want to see how he transforms, because one of the things I did notice when we saw Unique, there was no dialogue for the character, just him looks down at Ronnie, then looks at the screen. So obviously, I kind of feel like there's going to be some things that are different about him because of that beating that he took from Ronnie. So I'm curious to see how he does that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Joey Badass does with this character, because I'm thinking this character is going to be completely opposite from everything we knew about Unique. So should be a lot of fun.
Go ahead, Dana.
I would like to add some additional information to this thing of why I want to connect the theories, even though I'm wrong. I don't care. He's breathing my heart. He breathes. I strongly believe this, right? So remember during the conversation that Kanan had with Jukebox, and she told him, I'm leaving for the army. And he was like, you're leaving? I'm south side to the day I die. They're going to have to bury me here. We know what ends up happening in the future. But what was one of the things about Breeze? Breeze was killed by Ghost, not Kanan. Ghost killed Breeze because he was too content with staying in the South Side. Remember, they wanted to expand their business and set up different things around. But what did Breeze want to do? Take up the small businesses that was already in the South Side. What have we seen him do? Chinese food, right? He's still in the South Side. The whole situationship with Ronnie was, you're too routine. You're boring. We need to expand. What was the whole thing with Unique? I'm not expanding. We sat this argument. He was too content. His contentment, if this is the same person, is what gets him killed in the future. It got him killed in the past. It got him killed in the future. Dude died twice, and because he never changed his ways, right? So one of the things that's also interesting is that, let me see if I can find it. Breeze is the one that gives Ghost his name because, he said, Ghost, you can just come in and out and you can disappear. How does he learn that? He learns that by watching Breeze, who is dead. And I think he's never really discovered, especially by police or anyone. I think only a small portion of people know who Breeze's true identity is. So Breeze Ghost, to me, it's still much more of a connection. I don't remember why exactly I don't remember why exactly they set up Kanan, adult Kanan. Ghost set up Kanan. If anyone can help me, but from what I recall is this. Ghost killed Breeze because, like I said, he wanted to expand, and they was having, the arguments back and forth because of that. Later on, we know that Ghost ends up getting, no, am I speaking at my butt? Am I confused? Ghost ends up setting Kanan up for the 10 years to go to jail, right? So in a way, he was trying to overtake everyone so that he can run the complete business. So I just feel that, there's too much comparison. And also on top of that, one of the things that when we have to get to Tariq now, that Tariq told Breeze was that he was not smart and that he often put him in harm's way.
Wait,
and
he
that
told
he was
who?
predictable.
Tariq
So
told
from
who?
what I remember, right. Here's the thing. Kanan told Tariq that Breeze was not smart and that decisions he made often put them all in harm's way. He was too predictable and too routine. So we see that now. So in a way, I'm wondering what Ronnie said about Unique, was it wrong? And the fact that Kanan spent time with Unique, now Kanan spent time with Ronnie, does he start to understand where Ronnie was right? Because in a way, he kills him for the exact same reason why Ronnie killed him. So I'm just wondering that connection there. To me, that further signifies that Breeze is Unique.
No, I like how you connected that. Like, I think that that could be a very valid thing. Like, where if Unique is Breeze, let's just assume he is. Yeah, that is a great point. Like, because the reason Roddy killed him was because he was too content with just a Chinese shot. And yeah, Ghost kills him, kills Breeze because yeah, he was stuck in his ways, as you said. Like, um, and the whole routine element, that's a big thing too, because we know that he routinely watches Jeopardy. So um, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, go ahead.
Now I was going to say, I think Dana hit it on the head. That's a very good explanation. I believe, and I would have to go back and watch this season. I'm pretty sure somebody in the comments can verify this, but there was a scene where Unique was doing a crossword puzzle. So that is something to go back and find in the season to verify. But I know when that scene popped up, there were a lot of people at that point saying, Unique is probably Breeze. But that was before he had this whole thing with Ronnie. So I don't know. But I like everything today, all the points Dana made. It makes a lot of sense. It lines up. So
And also, sorry, just to another connection, was the fact that we do know that Tariq ends up killing Ghost, and he kept saying, I tried to give you one last chance to change, and you never did, and then he killed him. That is the same argument that Ghost used to kill Breeze, because they kept thinking, are we gonna kill him? Well, maybe he'll change. We're gonna kill him. Maybe he'll change. He never changed. So I just love the thingies, the connections that's really drawing, and you kind of end up seeing the ripple effects of Kanan has on Tariq and Ghost, like even from his childhood. And they haven't met yet, which is fascinating.
I agree 100%. One other quick point I do want to add to Joey Badass as Unique, a very charming character. He got along with a lot of people on the show for the most part. He had a certain personality. So that's why I said I'm very curious to see how he's going to operate now that he is obviously a changed person. But yeah, everything you said, it points to him being that character. So I'll be curious to see, because again, they kept this under wraps, even though they made it very clear when they was not sending out the episodes early that yeah, so something major happens is pretty obvious. I think at that point, because I had talked to Gary, I said, well, it's not just the character getting killed. There's something major has to happen beyond that. So that's why I was like, okay. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, though, for sure. But let me make a very quick comment, because Gary made a comment earlier saying he was disappointed with how they took out Ronnie. Well, Gary, the question I would ask you is, what type of death were you expecting of Ronnie? We know he likes to eat cereal. Is he going to die from diabetes or something like that?
Diabetes. That's hilarious. No, I want to give you your credit first and foremost, because you obviously called that. You were the first to say that Kanan is going to be the one to kill Ronnie. On this show. And yeah, I mean, I was all for that as well. Like, my problem isn't that Kanan killed him. It's just I feel like, particularly in the last two episodes, Ronnie just hasn't been the same villain he was the whole season to me. Like, the character's just been very different. Like, he's just been a plot device these past two episodes, I feel like. And we haven't really seen his character like come out. He's just been fulfilling his role in the plot basically these last two episodes. Whereas before that, we were seeing the full character, like who he is. We were seeing his OCD, and like we were seeing how militant he was, like how serious and militant he was about his business. And these last two episodes, he was just on autopilot, just doing everything he needed to do for the plot. So I think that's my biggest gripe with it. Like, it just felt a bit robotic the last couple episodes, and then like I saw it coming. Like, once like Kanan said what he said to his mother, like I knew this was a setup. Like, I knew he was gonna turn on Ronnie and kill him like at that moment. So I saw it coming. Like there was no kind of, I don't know, mystique. And then Ronnie, didn't fight back. It was just, I don't know, it was just too clean. It was just too clean. But my problem isn't that Kanan was the one who did it. Because I
got
had a
it.
feel like I agreed with you. I felt like that was probably a good outcome that Kanan killed him. So
I 100% agree with what you said about how Ronnie was utilized in these last 2 episodes. We are in 100% agreement on that because up until this point, we saw the character in full range, the OCD, all the other stuff he did, and yeah, at this point, he took a bit of a step back. But we did know once he crossed Kanan, that was the question, because Kanan warned him already. He said, my family is my business. Don't ever mess with them. Once that happened, that was it. There had to be some type of redemption. Well, not redemption. That's not the word I was thinking of. There had to be some type of payback that was coming to Ronnie in some way, shape, or form. So, but yeah.
yeah, like there was nothing wrong with Kanan's motivations either. Like his motivations was very well set up because we saw, we obviously saw what happened. Like they had his mother hit their hit job and his mother. So Kanan was in his right to do what he did. Like so that was, that was 100% done perfectly. That was set up perfectly. My problem was just with, I don't know, like it just felt like Ronnie, it wasn't the same Ronnie we've been watching. That's my only gripe. But,
Yeah, it wasn't. It
so,
wasn't. Well, the actor has gone on to do. He's actually the lead on another show. So congrats to him. He did an outstanding job this season. But we'll see where everything goes from here.
yeah. And yeah, so Dana had to step out for a quick minute. She's just handling some other business, but she is gonna hop back in once she's done.
Yeah.
So just to let the people know. But so yeah, let's move on to another question then. So one of these I want to wait till Dana's back. So let me ask you this one while she's gone. Um, so Stefano obviously fronted them some money. Like he gave them what was it, 5 million? Was it 5 million?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So he gave them 5 million, right? So that Raquel could get her son back. And she's obviously promised him that she's going to pay him back. She's going to put up the shop and her business and all this stuff to get him the money back. They've gone and given the money to Ronnie. Obviously they had their plans or whatever. Well, Kanan had his plan of what he was going to do. So that money is gone from Stefano, but Ronnie is dead now, right? Now, obviously, they've negotiated with Snap and Pops. So, they were kind of overseeing the negotiation. We know that Snap and Pop also probably, they invested in Ronnie and Kanan. So they probably want some sort of kickback in the future too, right? So now we have this situation where Ronnie's dead. So there's no need to give up that money. Like Kanan is back with Raquel. They got the money. So the question is, what are they going to do with that money? Because Stefano's going to be waiting for his money back. He's going to come calling to get his money back. Now, obviously, they could easily just go straight to Stefano and say, here, here's the money. We didn't end up needing it. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So I would ask you, Rich, do you have any thoughts or theories or ideas of what you think they're going to do with that money?
This is a great question. I have to admit, I'm curious to see what exactly what's going to happen with that situation. One thing I do want to say is that Stefano, obviously, like I said earlier, there has to be some contingencies in place. He said, oh yeah, I will loan you this money. Obviously, he made the comment that he has a little bit of a crush on Raquel, and both Snaps and Pops did say that he does like black women. So I don't really know. Maybe that's why he was willing to help her, but that comes at a cost. And obviously, I believe you and Dana made the comment about Unique and the fact that Unique was there. Listen, they definitely have to explain why Unique was there. I think what you both said about possibly that Kanan and Unique spoke, that's a possibility. But I would also believe that it is also a possibility that Stefano knew that Unique was alive, and they have also been working together. Because what I'm thinking is that if Stefano was so willing to give her this money, and you want to see what's happening, how the situation plays out, you need to send somebody there to investigate this to make sure nothing goes crazy and that he actually is going to get his money back. So that makes me curious to think maybe, Stefano played a role in saving Unique. He had Unique go there to make sure all that went through. Because the other thing is that when the news got out that Unique was possibly dead, you saw how Raquel approached Stefano about basically taking over what Unique started. And that's the other thing, because it was made very clear to Unique earlier in this season, Raquel is out. She's out, so that now pretty much Unique had control over what it is that he was doing with the Chinese shop. So I think personally, it is a possibility that Stefano and Unique are working together. He was there to observe what was happening, and I don't know. He may give this information back to Stefano. I think it's possible to think about that as a possibility, but we'll have to see what happens. But overall, to answer your question, I honestly think this is going to be the opportunity that Kanan is going to use to expand, because Kanan made it very clear that he wants to be. This is the lifestyle he wants. He wants full control of this. And I don't think he's going to give that money back to anybody. So now that he has the money, I think he's really going to be focused on expanding. Now, obviously, what Unique's role is in this, that's what we have to find out. If he is working with Kanan, that's great. He can get the advice from Kanan, but Stefano is going to want that money back. So I want to see how they tell that story going into season 4.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Rich, because that did cross my mind too, of whether Stefano knew that Unique was alive and maybe he's been helping him somehow. That's definitely a possibility also. But yeah, great point. And yeah, like I agree with you. If like these people are from the streets, like Raquel is from the streets. Kanan, he's been living the street life, like he's been hustling, right?
Yep.
You got a bag full of $5 million that somebody gave you, and you don't need to use it for what you were going to use it for. Like if you're from the streets, you're not giving that back. Like you're gonna flip that like that. So their goal is going to be to flip that 5 million and turn it to 10 or something, like, and then
exactly.
Pay Stefano back, like, or something like that. So that money's not getting back to Stefano anytime soon. The question is what problem is that going to cause? Because obviously, if they don't make that money back in time, maybe something happens. Like maybe, okay, let's use the scenario that we've been going with, that Kanan's going to run the business now, and maybe Raquel lies low because of the heat. That's gonna. So like if any problems arise for Kanan and he's unable to sell the drugs and make that money back, then of course that's going to cause Stefano to put pressure on Raquel. So there's a lot of problems that can arise. And yeah, welcome back, Dana. So the question we're currently on is, what will they do with the money? Do you think that they're going to give the money right back to Stefano, or do you think they're going to do something else with the money, basically? So that's what we're discussing currently. Go ahead, Dana.
Here is where I'm confused. In terms of not confused, but I genuinely don't know. It would be very easy to, hey, thanks, here's the money back. And he's like, oh, that's quick. But that's the easy route. But then at the same time, there's essentially a war coming in terms of snaps and pops, and they're going to need as much people as they can get. The mob, as clumsily as they have been depicted, is pretty good. And plus, they don't really have that many people on their side right now, right? So I do feel that it's easier to give that money back, and then Stefano be like, hey, I'm right here with you. But at the same time, and this is where I'm confused, they may need that money to help further get them out of they're in that situation where they can't, for me, return to their normal lives. I think that's done and over with, especially with the FBI closing in. This is not, Pookie and them cop shop. This is the FBI, the feds, the photo. Where is my photographer? Did they just drop that line, that storyline? And I'm kind of upset about that. But so that is one thing. Or you can end up having Howard take the fall for everything. But then again, Marvin, we do have the famous situation with Marvin. So that's where it leaves so many things open ended. But at the same time, going by that photograph, we do know that Kanan is still in his same environment. So that's the only thing. I kind of wish that photo never came out, but I do like that it came out. But still, the point I'm saying is this: I genuinely don't know, and that is the sign of really great writing. Nothing is predictable with this show. But overall, I think the smartest decision right now is to give the money back to Stefano. I think it was like, make sure you get the money, not because of I'm going to take the money, but it's to be returned. Because you're now dealing with Stefano and the mob. And yes, I interviewed Tony Danza about Stefano and why he was so willing to help Raquel. And he was amazing and sweet. It was basically because he loves the sisters. And, he loves himself some Raquel. And he said that. The Stefano himself, the character, says that on the show. He loves himself some Raquel. But if you do him wrong, he can hate you too. Right? Just don't think someone is going to fall at your feet no matter how you treat them. So I think that it would be smart to give that money back. And, hey, if I ever need an ally, come and help me. And we still have the furnace. You guys want him to use that furnace and it hasn't been used yet. So who gets cooked in season 4? We need Stefano to be a cooker.
Either Stefano will be a cooker in season 4 or he will get cooked. So stay tuned.
I like that. I like that theory. I like maybe Stefano ends up in the furnace. Because we have a situation now where we have two three technically, but we have these two kind of main overarching entities, right? You have Stefano and you have Snap and Pops. So I feel like these two sides are going to be the cause of a lot of conflict in the next season. And with Stefano, it all comes down to that money, I feel like, because although he is kind of sweet on Raquel, he likes Black women. And Raquel is a very stunning, fine woman. So he's easily mesmerized there. But we're talking $5 million. Like $5 million. That's nothing small, so he can't let it slide. Like if he doesn't get his money back, that is a big deal. Now, the unique factor, maybe unique, he did take a liking. Oh, Dana dropped out. So yeah, go ahead, Dana. You were gonna say something?
No, it's 500,000. We're in 92.
Oh, it was 500,000. Okay.
500,000. No, because you. Okay.
What'd you say? Was you saying something? Oh.
She has some technical difficulties, but yeah, so she's correct. That's the amount. That's what it was.
Okay, it was 500,000. Sorry, excuse me. So yeah, it was $500,000, which is still a lot of money, especially in 92. Well, 92, 93, something like that. So
92. Yeah, 92. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot of money in that time frame. So 500,000, right? Yeah, so that is a big deal. He can't overlook that. Now, if Unique is still in the picture, he did take a liking to Unique. I don't know if he could smooth things over. If he is working with Kanan, maybe he can have a sit down with Stefano and tell him, look, we're working together. or
Yeah.
maybe Stefano was the one who sends in Unique. That could be it too. Like maybe maybe Kanan and Unique aren't tied together just yet. Maybe
Mhm.
like you said, Rich, maybe Stefano was the one who helped him. And maybe he sends in Unique as his man to kind of oversee things like, okay, you guys are taking my money. Well, I'm going to send in Unique to oversee this. Like, if you guys are going to flip it, flip my investment. So it could be that also.
I agree. I just want to make a quick comment.
Yeah.
You and Dana mentioned about this upcoming war for season 4. Well, I do have some advice for Pops and Snaps. Obviously, they are the OGs. They, they have all the power and control. I just hope that when it comes to having drive-bys done on Raquel, that the people that they have working for them actually know how to shoot a gun and how to actually aim and kill people. Because obviously, when Ronnie did that little drive-by in this episode, he had his guys do it. That was very sloppy. So as the OGs of this particular industry, business, whatever you want to call it, I'm expecting them to move a lot differently. If they want something done, they do it themselves, or they hire professionals within their organization to get the job done. So I look forward to seeing how they tell that story next season.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta hire better hitmen. Like that's another thing. Ronnie's hitmen were like they was slacking. Like, I mean, I swear, like there was at the end, there was literally a moment where like they walked in and Marvin just like he just steps behind them and pops them in the dome, like just like that, like just smooth, smooth. Like you guys didn't see this man right here, like you didn't see that coming. But yeah, they need better hitmen for sure. But yeah, snaps and pops, they're gonna be a big deal in the next season for sure. I think like that there's definitely gonna be a war. We've seen a lot of tension between Raquel and Marvin. I loved that scene, by the way, where Marvin went to set up like a
The parlay.
parlay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like to calm things down. So I liked that scene. Like there's just a lot of tension. There's a lot of intensity with Snap and Pops, and they're not going to be like Dean, who we saw Ronnie take out earlier this season. Like they're definitely a step above Dean, and also Juliana. So I can't wait to see what they get into with those characters in the next season. Like I feel like there's going to be a lot that stems from that conflict, and with if we're assuming that Raquel and Marvin are going to be a little overexposed and unable to move, it's going to kind of like open the playing field a lot because you're going to need new characters. Like Kanan's going to need if Kanan's running the business, he's going to need soldiers. Otherwise,
Yes.
it's going to get very messy. So
I agree.
It's exciting. Go ahead.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. And the one other quick thing I do want to say, since you did mention Dean, I can tell that the writers of this show, they definitely watch The Wire, because if you recall, that same actor that played Barksdale, D'Angelo, he did get choked out, but the guy made it look like he choked himself out with the belt. So when they had the scene with Lou, as if he was going to try to, strangle himself, I could tell, man, they definitely watching these other shows to get some ideas or inspiration. So I just wanted to point that out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like that was definitely reminiscent of D'Angelo Barksdale.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know that he was murdered and they made it look like a suicide, but that it was the same door scenario kind of thing. So
yep.
Yeah, but since you brought that up, let's go there, right? With Lou. So next question I have is basically what you thought about Lou. You already kind of mentioned the scene with Raquel at the start with the therapy, talking therapy and stuff. But like, what do you think about his journey? I mean, obviously, we saw very early on they did not kill him; they brought him to rehab. We saw the feds came to question him, and he stood by the family. And then we saw later that he was struggling and he wanted to take his life. He wanted to commit suicide. And shouts to Dana because I know she predicted that he would try to take his life as well. Um, but yeah, what do you think about that? And like, what do you think is next for the character? And do you see him possibly still trying to take his life after this? So,
Wow.
big question.
Well, that is a big question. Well, first and foremost, I do want to give a shout out to Dana because she actually posted an interview she did with Marvin, Lou, and Jukebox that went up, I think, last week or so. And I was listening to that interview, and then Malcolm Mays, who plays Lulu, pretty much was saying that his story is very sad this season. And I got that feeling because after all that happened to him in season 2 with Ziza, the club getting shot up, all that other stuff, going into this season, obviously, I was curious to see what's going to happen to this character. He wants to get away from his sister. He wants to get out of the game. Just wants to try to find his peace. And then obviously, when he saw the club, you thought you felt some hope for him because obviously he's passionate about music. He saw a vision that he wanted to execute on. So you felt as though, okay, this is great. He'll finally be able to do this. But again, he's still dealing with the trauma of what happened to Scrappy and what happened to D-Wiz. So obviously, going into this season, because he still was dealing with that trauma and didn't really talk with anybody about it, it only was inevitable he was going to have a downward spiral. When he started drinking, and then we saw this progression over the season, one drink, and then he just really excessive with the drinking, it was going to get worse. And then obviously he had to kill Scrappy's mom. That was when I think it reached the highest point. So I obviously I feel like, yes, it was a very sad, emotional season for this character. As a fan, I would like to see this character have some type of redemption arc in season 4. But I kind of feel like even though he said when he said to the therapist, I feel like I'll always be the same Lou Thomas, I do feel he will be the same Lou Thomas. Because one thing we know about this show and about the characters, based upon what we saw with Kanan and Jukebox in the original Power show, even if they made an attempt to get away from this lifestyle, they just can't because of the family in the world that they're associated with, the lifestyle they have. They don't ever escape it. So my assumption is Lou will not escape this either. Now, will he try to take his life again? I think that's a possibility. But what I think is going to end up happening is a prediction that I believe you had previously, which is that D-Wiz's brother is going to possibly get revenge, because that is the one character that they haven't really gone back to that yet. We saw what happened with Scrappy and his mom and how that affected him, but we did not see how D-Wiz's death impacted his brother. We saw how it impacted his mother. We never saw the brother. So it makes me curious just to see if all those mistakes that Lou made catch up with him, and instead of him taking himself out, maybe D-Wiz's brother gets revenge and kills him. I have no idea what's going to happen. But I do feel, to answer the question, I still think this character is going to have a sad ending, unfortunately, because I did not think, I know Dana made the comment about the suicide, and even still, when I saw that in this episode, that kind of made me, I had to take a step back because I didn't want to see this character kill himself. But to even put that thought in his head, that is I don't think he's in a good state of mind. Even though he's at the rehab facility, I don't think he's in a good state of mind. So it kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen when he does get out of there. How is he going to adjust? Is he going to be okay? You have no idea. So we have to wait and see what happens. But unfortunately, I don't think his story is going to end well. That's just my guess.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. Like, I don't think he's ready to go. Like he wanted to try and take himself out. Like if you remember, there was the scene as well where he was drunk, and then those two men came to
Oh yeah.
mug him or whatever, and he was kind of like, yeah, okay, stab me, do whatever, kill me, whatever. And that didn't end up happening. So like I think in his mind, like he's in a lot of pain, and that's why he's drinking to kind of cover up the pain and everything. And in his mind, maybe he wants to, maybe he wants it to all be over so he doesn't have to deal with the pain and his regret and everything that he's done. Um, but I don't think he is ready to pull the trigger himself, like, and end it himself. And that's why even when it was Raquel and Marvin driving him away, he was still pleading with them, like, please don't, don't do it. Don't leave me out here. I feel like there's a part of him that is not ready to go yet. Even though he thinks he thinks he needs to go, but there's a part of him that isn't ready to go. So I don't think he's going to commit suicide, but I think it's more likely that D-Wiz's brother comes back. Now, obviously, one of my predictions was that D-Wiz's brother was Breeze. Now, that may or may not be the case. Who knows? But I still think we're going to see this character one way or another, whether he's Breeze or not. I think D-Wiz's brother is going to come back just because they've teased it. They teased it in the very first season. They spoke about the brother, and we haven't heard anything about the brother since. So I think he is going to come back. And Lulu is the one that killed D-Wiz. So I think that is likely going to be his end. That, and perhaps it's karma as well, because then he ended up killing Scrappy's mother, as well. So like he has karma coming to him. So I feel like that is a likely end to his story, that D-Wiz's brother comes back and kills him. So yeah, that's what I could see happening. But I do want to say as well that Dana was absolutely correct. Malcolm Mays did a great job acting, this role, this whole season, like playing, drunken Lou, and like he carried the emotions very well. Like he's a great facial actor also, and like he did great work. Like he did great work, portraying Lou's self-destruction this season. So big props to Malcolm Mays. Yeah, for real. So I think Dana's busy, so I'm gonna, carry on. I did want to get her take on this one, but the show must go on. So I want to ask you, like, what do you make of Crystal being pregnant? Because there was the scene where she told Kanan, they were in bed, and she told him, "Look, Kanan, I'm late. I haven't got my period." And we can only assume that to mean one thing, because these two characters have been inseparable. We see them in bed most of the time, so we know what that probably means. Now we know that Sean's mother is called Jarita. In the main Power show, Sean, who is Kanan's son, he has a mother called Jarita. So is it possible that this is a different child? Or maybe Crystal isn't her real name or something? Like, what do you think of this whole thing with Crystal possibly being pregnant with Kanan's child?
Okay, this is a good question, and I need to dive into a few things here. So let me just make this comment. Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, there was a post made on Reddit talking about the casting of season 4. Somebody is actually supposed to be playing Jarita. Now, again, we don't know if that was a rumor. It was all hearsay. I have no idea, and we'll have to wait and see. But season 4, a lot of people are supposed to be coming into this particular storyline. So we have to wait and see what that actually is. But to answer the question, you and I did have a discussion offline about what is the possibility that Kanan did have another kid. and whether or not that particular kid could be a character that shows up on another Power show in the future. I think that'll be a very brilliant move if that does happen. But obviously, don't know if that's what's going to happen. But to answer your question, we already know that the group obviously is going to change. I mean, obviously with Jukebox going to the army, that's a problem because she's the leader of the group. But if Crystal is pregnant, that probably is the end of the group. I mean, I have no idea. We have to wait and see. But what we do know, based on that photo that leaked of Joey Badass a couple weeks ago, season 4, Crystal was in that scene as I believe as when we saw Unique leaving, Crystal was going into the exact same building that Kanan lives in. So obviously she's still with Kanan. But the question is she going to have a kid? What's going to happen with that? I guess we have to wait until next season. But that story, this is why I like the show, because a lot of this stuff, they can take it in any direction they want to take it in. This is a character we never heard about, Crystal, until this season. So I will be curious to see what they do with that character. But overall, it's just more things for Kanan to think about and have to juggle going into season 4. In addition to the whole issue with snaps and pops and everything else. So it will keep him on his toes for sure. And I want to see what they're going to actually do with that story.
Yeah, and welcome back, Dana. I'm glad you're back because this was
sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. Technical difficulties, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So the question was, we saw in the episode, Crystal said that she's late. When they were in bed together, she said, she hasn't had a period. So we can only assume that to mean one thing, that she might be pregnant. So I want to ask you, what's your thoughts on that? Because in original Power, Sean's mother goes by the name of Jarita. So either Kanan might have another child, or maybe Crystal miscarries, or she could not be pregnant, or maybe Crystal isn't her real name and it's Jarita. So I want to ask you what you think could be the case here.
I'm going to bring up something nefarious, and it's wonderful and delicious because I like nefarious things. So, what did she say before? Oh my God, I'm pregnant, right? Was after they had the copulations and situationship, she said, "Does this mean we're boyfriend and girlfriend now?" Right? And he was like, "I'm just trying to get hot. I just want my blunt. I ain't trying to think about all that." And then I'm late, right? Here's the nefarious thing. She is pretending to be late, to be pregnant, in order to trap Kanan into a relationship. We have seen this countless times, many times, right? Right. And so I feel that is what that 17-year-old child is trying to do. She's young, she's dumb, even old people are dumb. But that is a way of how she thinks she's going to trap Kanan. Because let's look at this. He's just trying to be like, I'm young, I'm dumb. You have a box, I'm in the box, I'm out the box. That's all I want from you is box, right? He's at that age. Well, men act like that at any age. But the point I'm saying is this. She is just the box. She wants the relationship. She went from, and here's why I put this in there as well. I interviewed Butter, and I interviewed her, and I was like, look, child, is your son named Sean? And she was like, she didn't say like yes or no or yes, but she kept saying to me, who says she even is pregnant? Now, that could be a way of throwing people off. Remember, they're already filming season 4, so it's not like, I don't know what the script is. They're already filming. What if she was giving us a hint of truth? Is she really pregnant? And that got the juices in the brain thinking. She's at that age when you miss something and you're really young, you automatically think, oh Lord, I'm pregnant. Now, little education that you're not going to get in the schools because they banned that now, especially in Florida. Women's cycles change all the time, especially with different stages of ages that you are in life. Your beginning stage of your cycle is not the same stage of which you hit when you're about to hit menopause. It changes throughout the years. So I'm late, yeah, for that cycle that you have known it as. You're now 17 hitting 18, changes again. So you may be late, but you're not late. This is just your body changing, right? Another thing, why would you wait to say I'm late after you just did the bang bang? Because it wasn't like, Kanan, I have something to tell you. I'm late. It was bang bang bang. Ugh. Are we boyfriend and girlfriend now? Nah, I want to smoke. Oh, I'm late. Right? So, to me, that's entrapment. This is the only thing that I can think of to keep this man. So what started out, and I asked her, is there truly love there? Is there truly a relationship there? Because you went from, I'm going to make Jukebox jealous, to, oh, I think I kind of like him, to, I'm pregnant. Not saying that it can't happen. We've seen it before. Young and dumb, even old and dumb. The point that I'm making is, we've seen her manipulate and be nefarious. Jukebox. I want to be a leader so bad, I'm going to get my friends to beat up Jukebox. The girls in the street. Now, what happened? They beat up Jukebox. They just didn't intend for her to be that good of a fighter. Okay? And I strongly feel that this is not like a way of getting back at Jukebox. I think Jukebox is not even a thought right now. I think, because remember, she said she essentially knows what Jukebox family is around. Now, for me, but again, I'm boring. If I find out that the feds are looking at you, I'm gonna love you from a distance. I'll send you a card, but I can't. I can't do it. I can't. I'm not built that way. Crystal is built that way. Whether or not it's because she isn't properly loved, or her environment, or her family dynamic, I don't know. We don't judge. But I'm gonna judge you right now and saying that she instead stayed with Kanan. Because there's something with, oh, I like him. This is a relationship. And she kept, and this, I don't believe that this is the first time where she's like, are we boyfriend and girlfriend now? I believe that she kept hinting at wanting something more. I could be wrong. I'm old. The brain dies. But it feels like she was hinting at something more. And therefore, I strongly believe nefariousness is afoot. Now, if she really is pregnant, that goes into, that baby ain't Sean. And I don't think her real name is Jerika. And I don't know, here's the thing about Raising Kanan that they don't seem to do on other shows and movies. They tend to cast skin color to skin color. Baby girl Crystal is light skinned compared to Tasha Smith, right?
Yep.
They tend to get actors that look alike. To me, not judging, she looks more of a little light skinned, maybe a little mixed. I don't know. But the two and the two are not adding up to one. That ain't that baby, and that ain't that woman. They're not the same. And here's the thing. People, and I do it as well. I'm trying to connect the dots so much. Everyone has a past. 17-year-old Kanan is not, what, 30-something-year-old Kanan that we meet in the Power? We got a lot of women in between. And that also goes for Jukebox, so we'll get on that later. There's a lot of women in between. So, everyone has an oopsie. Maybe. I don't know. He had an oopsie. Or maybe she's just being nefarious. But that and Sean is not that, I don't feel is so much of that as being a connection. And I also believe that if she is pregnant, which again, I strongly say she's not, rest in peace, but that baby doesn't make it to term. Or, here's another thing that's weird. What happens if they pay her to stay away? Y'all remember season 1? Remember that little girl who had a child who was hanging around Kanan? And then we was like, oh my gosh, it's Sean. Y'all remember that? Where is she now? Exactly.
Gone. She moved.
She done moved.
Yeah.
I said, yes, that was the foster care thing. I don't think she was paid off. but that was a foster care situationship. We are
Mhm.
going to see plenty of little girls and teenage girls, women's, whatever you want to call them, randomly coming with his baby. Not to say that's my baby, but just to say that everybody has histories and past. That's not a connection. That is nothing. And if she is pregnant, I don't see this being something where it's embedded in our life. It doesn't, I don't feel it. And again, Tasha, even if you could say, oh, that's another baby and that's a sidekick, men has multiple children all the time. What happens if she has to go away? What happens if the FBI keeps FBI in and they come to her and she gets scared and she goes away? What happens if Raquel was like, nah, I don't want you around my son. I'm going to pay you off. God bless. I'll send you money every month for the baby. But that's not Sean. And I genuinely don't feel that she's going to be a thought right now in the upcoming seasons. Now, 4, I believe, was she in that photo with 4? Or was that Jukebox?
Yeah, she's in the photo.
She's in the photo.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think that she may end again. She may end. She knows who Breeze is. But she doesn't know who Breeze is. I don't know the connection of whether or not he's going to tell her everything. She is there, but I just don't see her being long lasting. Or at least I don't recall there being like my secret friend, who I've known since childhood, that they mentioned in the original Power. So for me, Nefarious, go away.
Okay. Yeah. So you feel like she's a short term girlfriend, and Kanan's gonna move on, and
Kanan has to move on. I think this is just because it just doesn't feel. I don't know. And again, actors purposely throw you off all the time. I've had a actor sit here and lie in my whole face, and I'm like, you dirty scoundrel. But I appreciate it because I didn't want to know. But I just drew. You could say that she's throwing me off and being like, is she even pregnant? Because she gave an answer, a non-answer to an answer. You know when people non-answer your question, but it's like I'm gonna give you something instead. And she kept saying, is she even pregnant? And that really got me thinking. Even it's just the way how it was set up was just so nefarious. Because she kept saying, oh, your boyfriend and girlfriend. Like maybe in her mind, and we've heard of this before, and it goes both ways. Men trapping women, women trapping men. So I'm gonna trap you with the baby. So maybe in season 4, she spends that time trying to actually get pregnant to catch up with her lie. And if she is pregnant, let's go deeper in nefarious. Who's to say that's his baby? I don't know what she does off camera.
yeah, yeah, that would be scandalous, if that's the case, if it's not his. But I want to go with my theory. It's a wild card theory. I brought it up before, I believe, and Richard just mentioned it again. I definitely feel like there's a possibility Kanan has another child that we didn't know about before, and that this child could be a character in an upcoming Power, Ghost, or even Force, who knows? But most likely Ghost. I want to go with that theory. I would love if they planted a seed of Kanan having another child other than Sean. Like that would be amazing. So, but yeah.
See, I think that that's so corny and that would change the past. No disrespect. I just feel that if that is his child, wouldn't it be better if to know he had one child out there that maybe actually made it and the mom either was bought off or just was like it was too much for her. She left and he never saw her again, her or the child again. And who's to say that it's a son? I mean, good girl or daughter. Not being sexist. So it could be a daughter, and she's better off carrying on the Kanan legacy, but we just never see her. That's all. Kanan lives on through I don't know Shirley, and we never see Shirley. We never see Breeze, so we never see Shirley.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something like what if Kanan wants her to get rid of it or something, and he gives her money like, okay, I don't want to deal with this. Could you get an abortion? But she she doesn't go through with the abortion and she keeps it, and he doesn't know this, and she disappears. And then, he loses contact, and he never even knew he had another child, so he just had Sean. Could be something like
Exactly.
that.
There's plenty of men who don't know that they had a kid. Right, Richard?
Whoa. That's definitely a joke, ladies and gentlemen. That's definitely a joke.
It's a joke.
Trust me.
Dad, I have something to tell you.
No, if I had a kid, trust me, I will be a part of that kid's life, 1,000%.
Well,
But
this might be really uncomfortable, but I have something to tell you. Do you know a woman named Shirley?
I don't know who that is. Shirley, never heard of that name.
She's mine.
Never heard of that name.
Putting Rich on the hot seat today.
Nah, man, no, that's totally a joke. I do want to make a comment though. Something that Gary said. When Gary told me his idea, and I do agree, it is a wild theory. But now that Gary said it, I want to see it, because the idea of Kanan having another kid that he doesn't know about, and this person somehow comes into contact with Tariq. What if that person was to find out, hey, Tariq knew about Kanan and knew about Kanan getting killed, and yet this kid never knew their father? That is a kind of very interesting theory to put out there. So I would love to see that happen. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen, but I mean, that'd be a very interesting thing to dive into, especially if that character finds out at some point that they know about their father, and they're playing Tariq the whole time, but they know that Tariq knew about their father. That would be kind of interesting, but it's a wild theory.
And Kanan was moral. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dana.
If Pookie and them does exist, right? It was Kanan who killed himself, caught by suicide.
Yes.
It isn't like Tariq killed Kanan. He decided, and he even prophesied this in this episode, where he said, I'm going to die on the South Side. You're going to bury me on South Side. I think he died in Manhattan. But the point is, you're going to bury me in South Side. I am not leaving. Right? Yeah. So I'm trying to understand why Pookie and them would get involved with Tariq's business, because technically he didn't kill him. You can argue, oh, well, he treated you more like a son than he did me. But he never knew you existed. So I'm just trying to figure out the connection. And that's where I have the issue with. He would have no motive to come into Tariq's life at all. It's raising Tariq, not raising Sean.
I mean, it could happen. It could just happen by chance, I mean, we just saw somebody die and come back. Like, I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility to now think that we just saw Unique get resurrected. Like, that it's totally possible that Kanan has another child and he could come back, and somehow by chance he's in Tariq's storyline now. It's just, and maybe they don't find out about the connection until later. They might not. He might not necessarily come back to kill Tariq or something because he's jealous. Like, I don't know. It could be anything. But
yeah, the thing about it is, obviously we don't really have a release date for season 4 of Ghost yet. I believe it is going to be sometime in May, but Starz hasn't announced this information yet. But the thing about it is that next season, it really is about Tariq and Brayden being on their own and having to deal with the enemies that are coming after them. So I would like to see, they're probably going to meet other characters. So, I mean, they're going to meet other characters. It doesn't mean that these characters are going to be related to Kanan, obviously. But I'm saying, because Gary's pointed out, I believe anything can happen on these shows. The police, the FBI are talking about, we couldn't find Unique's body, but there were bone fragments on the pipe. It's like, come on now, man. If that's the case, I'm thinking that the person is close to dead, but obviously that's not what happened. So I think anything can happen on this show now. So, but again, it is a wild theory. I will be curious to hear what the commenters have to say, what their own theories are about this particular topic or any of the other stuff. So we have to see, but it is a fun theory to think about, for sure. Go ahead, Dana.
All right.
I think I answered my own question with thinking, like, going back to season 1, and this just shows you how stinking grimy Tasha was. She deserved that boop. Remember when he bopped her in the face? Mush her face. She was sleeping with Sean. And then Lakeisha. And she was afraid of the relationship being found out by Ghost. Ghost is Tariq's son. I apologize to you, Gary. You may actually be right. Because their lives are so intertwined, right? Where Sean, the main son, was sleeping with, whatchamacface, was sleeping with,
Tasha.
I just said it, sleeping with Tasha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he considered James with Ghost to be his uncle. That's just gross. Jesus. See, Tasha has no morals. What if, in a way, and we're speculating, I don't even think this is going to happen. This guy is jealous of Tariq's life because Tariq, Sean, everybody was all in the same house, right? They were raised together essentially. So then and this is small, I don't believe it's going to go that way. That's how we have that connection of if they meet up again, be like, I was supposed to be, I don't know, whatever, I don't know. The side kid sees how his life would have been with ghosting them, right? It's a theory. It may not make any sense, but that's where we get that jealousy aspect of, I'm going to take everything he had because look how he was raised. And I don't know if this child even is pregnant, but her life and how she raises him. Clearly, it's not in the same life of luxury as whatchamacface, as Tariq. But then here's what the thing that here's the issue where this doesn't make sense. You ready? I'm going to assume Ghost was in his 30s when he killed Sean, right? And Sean was supposed to play, I think it was basketball. So let's make him teenager to early 20s, right? The first baby is significantly older than what Sean would have been. That's the issue with my theory that I have. The age gap. Would he even care? Unless it's like, well, I hated you because you got to live with, you got to be around my dad. And I never did. But it's like, what? What would he be? 50-year-old beefing with a 20-year-old? That's the only problem that I have about this theory.
No, I agree 100%. The age is definitely, that's why I say it's a wild theory. But no, go ahead, Gary. You about to say something?
Yeah, that's why I don't like if there is another son, I don't even think it should be a revenge plot. Like it could just be, this character happens to be, Kanan's son, or they don't even have to tell us. They don't even have to say it. They could just allude to it, even in The Wire, where it's never said, but if you pay attention, you know that Cheese is Randy's dad. Just if you pay attention to the show, because it's on the paperwork. Like they have the same surname, same, they kind of look similar too. So it could even be something as subtle as that, to where they don't even say it, they don't even mention it, but if you pay attention, oh, that's Kanan's son. That guy there is Kanan's son. Something like that. That would be amazing, in my opinion. So, but it's just a little thing. I would, just a little thing. I mean, we're kind of overcooking it because they might not even do this. So, but it's just a little theory, But yeah, let's move on, so we don't go on too long. So the final question I have is is the relationship between Kanan and Raquel fixed now, after what happened at the end, where Kanan clearly, he was clearly distraught by the fact that Ronnie put a hit on his mother. And then, we saw the scene where he was very angry and he came in when Ronnie was meeting with Snap and Pops, and he was kind of, angry at him and telling him, I told you to leave my family alone and all this stuff. And then the final scene made it look like Ronnie and Kanan planned all of this to get at Raquel and get the money and stuff. But we see that Kanan chose his mother. He killed Ronnie. He chose his mother. But is the relationship going to be repaired now, or is there still a lot that needs to be fixed here? So I mean, if we go with the assumption that Kanan is now going to be the main one running the business, the family business, how is that even going to happen if they still have to fix their issues? Like, is she going to give him her blessing? Or is this just going to be something he chooses to do of his own accord, and they're still kind of beefing with each other? Like, how do you see this playing out into season 4? So I'll go with you first, Dana. What do you think?
I would like to bring up the very famous French word of the day, and that is parler. We are going to see a parler. Basically, everyone is going to be like, we have to come together to solve this overarching, much larger threat, and that is Switzerland. Because Switzerland is coming. Because not only did you take out Ronnie, but you took the money. Because Ronnie and the whole money and how that's all connected. And remember, the very last phrases that Snaps and Crackle and Pop said was, we're Switzerland until we're not. And they know that a war is coming. They know you do not mess with Rock. Remember, they have history with Rock. They don't know about Unique. And here's the weird thing I want to throw in really quickly. I'm more than I think about it. I'm not 1,000%. No, I just thought of it. I was gonna say I wasn't 1,000% sure that Kanan knew that Unique was alive this whole time because he comes in after the fact. But then that picture came out and was like, "Hey, we're gonna just sit here with everyone." So, to me, it feels like they're gonna have to parlay, and the mother and son is gonna have to come together to figure this out because at the end of the day, Snaps and Pops do not care about Kanan. I mean, they used Kanan to get back at, they used him. And I asked Wendell Pierce and Erica Campbell this. And they was like, yeah, we know we used him. We used him for a reason. So they don't care about, boundaries. And we don't touch this person. So Kanan is in just as much as danger as Raquel. And remember, Kanan was the one who pulled the trigger. I'm pretty 1,000% sure Raquel will take the fall. My biggest question is, did Raquel know? Because when he went behind him and he had the gun and we focused on the eyes, was that a sense of I'm scared or a sense of, yay, you got it, you got it, we got it, let's go? That's the only thing that I don't fully know. Because remember Howard said to Raquel, would you look at this? I wonder if he knew that he was also I was wondering if this was a double setup. For one, you get Ronnie and you get Howard. And that's when they had to come together. See, we only know that Jukebox was the messenger between the two of them. And remember, she said, I'm sorry for making you the messenger. Did she say, I have one last message for you to give to Kanan? That's what I don't know. So I forgot what the question was. But I believe, parlay. I strongly believe that they're going to have to come together, and then later on, we can go our separate ways. Because you can't say, this is a you problem right now, because this is an everything problem. And also, it was alluded to with both Lulu and Marvin and Jukebox when they said, everything you do comes back to us. And remember, Raquel was like, why are y'all blaming me for everything? I wish I could blame y'all for something. But there's no lie. Essentially, everything that Raquel was involved in comes back to them. She made Marvin the errand boy. Yes, he's at fault because he's still doing the errands. Yes, Howard is at fault. He's at fault for everything from the very beginning. But he could easily say, I'm not doing this anymore. Instead, he kept saying, I'm doing this for the son. But if you really look at his definition of, I care about you, I'm doing it for the son, it was, I hope I would leave this world better for me. Everything was me, 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 me. Remember? So it was like, I'm doing this really for me. And then, so my thing is that at this moment, in order to break free from Raquel, you do this one thing and then you gotta go. They can't count on Lulu. Lulu can't even count on Lulu at this point. So that's what they have to rely on. There is a much bigger threat that's gonna take out all of us. So, yay.
Yeah, yeah, good points. What about you, Rich? What's your thoughts? Do you think they're gonna fix things? Yeah. What do you think?
I think the relationship will still be complicated. I do believe that for the time being, they definitely have to work together because the FBI, the feds, they are going to be definitely looking for Marvin. Even though they don't have any proof that Marvin did anything to Howard, they're going to be looking for him even harder next season. And I do want to give you a shout out, Gary, because your favorite lawyer did make an appearance in this episode. I guess we're going to see more of him next season, talking with Marvin, trying to give him legal counsel.
Oh yeah, Terry Silver's dad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a situation. See, this is what makes it an intriguing show. Like you both said, a lot of stuff we don't know what's going to happen from a writing standpoint. And again, Kanan, I think I will say this. By the end of this episode, I think he has some respect for Raquel, so on and so forth. But I don't believe that Raquel is still convinced that Kanan can do this stuff on his own. And I think that next season is going to be about him proving his mom wrong. I can do this. I can do this on my own. So I just want to see how that turns out. But I think for the time being, they will come together because they have to bond together at this time because all eyes are on them. But it definitely can change as the season progresses. Talking about season 4. Go ahead, Dana.
Kind of a side note. So remember when Kanan killed Unique? No, go back. Kanan killed Ronnie. Raquel took the gun and killed Howard. Nobody wiped. From my understanding, did they leave the gun there, or did they take the gun?
I believe they took the gun.
They took the gun.
I think so.
Okay.
I didn't. I would have to go back and see that.
Yeah,
because
stars.
I'm trying to
this
think.
is the problem with episode.
Here's the issue. Here's the issue that I have. You also have, yes, we have Snaps and Crackle and Pop, but we also have the FBI. Howard had 3 days to turn himself in, or a police warrant. They will be
2
looking
days.
for him. 2 days. I thought it was 3.
Yep.
See, this is what happens when you don't send the screen. Okay. So he has 2 days to turn himself in. So the FBI, does that automatically kind of delete their search on them? Because it's like, oh, Howard got killed by Ronnie, but they was never looking at Ronnie. Ronnie never really was on anyone's radar. So then does this further open the investigation of who is Ronnie?
Well, that is a great question, and I believe it does because they're gonna find out that this guy was messing around with heroin. He was a dealer, so on and so forth. He's in that industry, so now that's your connection to Howard. But the question is, who killed Howard and who killed this other guy? So, it's going to open up a can of worms. I want to see how that goes. I do believe, though, that I know, Dana, you made mention that you and Gary both made mention that you thought that you liked Howard as a character. So I want to see if we get a very stylish funeral scene for him next season. You know, you're going to see Baptiste crying, or how could this happen? Where do we go wrong? What did we go wrong? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a lot. I mean, obviously, the investigation as to what happened to Detective Howard, that's going to be something that they're going to be looking into next season, and they're going to make the connection. Who are these people that Ronnie knew? They may even try to go and question Snaps and Pops. You know, I mean, they're going to find the other people that are part of this underworld. So we have to see how that goes down.
Was the mob dealing in heroin?
That's a good question. I think they were dealing with a lot of different drugs, not just that.
Because then you can make the connection that Howard was connected to the mob. Remember, they was like, "You're part of the mob." They were just throwing everything at him. You're a part of the mob, so therefore, it could maybe be like, "Oh, it's a mob hit."
And that's possible. And remember, the FBI did approach Stefano earlier this season. So they'll probably approach him again next season and ask him questions about what happened. Does he know any of these people that were involved? So they're definitely going to revisit that, I think.
Because remember, there's an open case for the other mob people. So then that could maybe, because my whole thing is, I'm trying to debate. For me, I feel that this made everything worse for Marvin.
Oh, yeah.
But unless we can pin this murders on Howard, then he's okay.
Exactly. And let me just say this right now. I know that there are a lot of fans of Marvin, including all of us. So I'm glad that nothing bad happened to the character this season. But there's no way I'm not saying the character is going to get killed next season, but there is going to be some type of collateral damage from this particular, what happened in this episode. Because you saw when Marvin came in there, he asked what happened when he saw that Howard got killed and Ronnie got killed. It's kind of like, you got to know, they already were looking at Marvin, like you said. They were trying to connect him and Howard together. So this is not good news for Marvin going into next season. And I know you both made mention that, well, yeah, they need to lie low. But the question is, they already know where Raquel lives. They already know where Marvin lives. So they can obviously come there and do certain stuff. But I want to see what they're going to do, because, and I also am curious to know if it's going to be a passage of time when they start season 4, maybe it might be a small period of time like it was when they started season 2. But yeah, these are all questions that I can't wait to see them answer, because I have no idea what the answer is.
Yeah, like in my opinion, like they can't drag this out a lot. Like either Raquel and Marvin has to go on the run, or they're gonna get caught. Like, because this has to catch up to them at some point. Like, this investigation's been going on all season, and this is based on what they did in season 2. You know, so like it has to catch up to them. Like, there has to be consequences, and like taking out Howard at this point, you took out another cop. That's another cop dead. Like, the police, you know, they don't play that. Like, they're not, you know, when one of theirs gets taken out, regardless of if he's dirty, they have to, you know, get aggressive. So I feel like Marvin especially, he's definitely in a very vulnerable position now. And he's likely going to take a fall in the next season. Like, because I just don't see them staying free that much longer based on what's happened. And I like what you said, Rich, about if we're going to see Howard have a funeral scene, the perfect karma is if Captain Burke gives his eulogy, just like he gave one for Shannon. Like,
oh Lord, he was such a good man. He was one of the best cops around. You know, we gotta really just say, this man, he was preaching up there.
No, most likely it would be Batiste who gives a talk, probably. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. We'll have to wait and see. but yeah. So let's get to so this time we're gonna do predictions, right? Instead of final thoughts, we're gonna get a round of season 4 predictions. That's how we're gonna end off. So let's get to our official season 4 predictions, and I'm gonna let you guys get yours together, and I'll go first on this. So you two get your list together, and I'll go right into it. So my predictions for season 4. So I do think Breeze is going to be revealed as unique at this point. Like I feel like they're gonna do it because to me it makes. I mean, they could still do Diva's brother. It's still a possibility, but I just feel like the way they've set this up now, because I feel like Unique is gonna have a character change. Like he's not gonna be the same Unique he was. I feel like this has seriously affected him, and I feel like his behavior is gonna be completely different. You said it. Was it you, Rich or Dana? You said that he was a pretty boy and he was, you know, a little flash and fancy previously. He's not going to be that unique anymore. I think he's going to be super raw and gritty, wearing Tims and hoodies and all that stuff. Like he's not going to be wearing those fly leather jackets and stuff that he was wearing before. Like this is going to be a different Unique, and a name change would solidify that. So I feel like there's a high probability that he could end up being Breeze now, especially since I think he's going to be working closely with Kanan. Um, so yeah, I feel like there's a big chance Breeze is going to be revealed as Unique. And then I also still believe that D Wiz's brother is going to come back and possibly kill Lou, just because this is a lingering plot line. We know that Lou feels deep regret about killing D Wiz, um, and he kind of dealt with the Scrappy thing in this season. We saw more of that the pain from Scrappy, but he still needs to address that D Wiz, murder that he did, and they've teased D Wiz's brother already, in the first season, and they made it seem like this guy is a serious problem. So I do think that D Wiz's brother is going to come back at some point. Um, and I think he is going to be the end of Lou. Like he's going to be the one to end Lou's story, because I don't feel like Lou is actually, like, he seems like he's ready to go and that he wants to, kill himself, but I don't think he's ready to go through with it yet. So I think it's more likely that he picks himself up and he kind of gets himself together maybe, and things start looking up for him, but then his past catches up to him. So I feel like that is the more probable outcome for him, I think. um and then I believe that, so here's what I think, right? I think we're going to get the answer of who is Breeze in episode 1, or very early into season 4. Like I think they're gonna answer that, right away. Like they're gonna get right to it. Like who is Breeze? So I think we're gonna get that answer early, right? And then I think we're gonna see the first glimpse of either Ghost or Tommy, either in the finale or somewhere late in the season. So I think that is what's gonna happen in season 4. Like those are my predictions. And there's other things as well that we've talked about. Like I think Kanan's going to be the main family. He's going to be the main one driving the family business. Um, I think I don't. I can't call Jukebox. Like I can't figure out what's going to happen with her. Like obviously, it seems like she's set on going to the army, but I don't know how they're going to show this story of her. Being in the army. Now, obviously, we know that now Aisha is interested in her, so they could do something with that, whether it's telling her story through that relationship, or maybe she decides to not go into the army and then later on she joins the police force instead or something. I don't know. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't have a solid prediction just yet. But yeah, those are my main predictions. So that's Breeze is going to be unique. D-Wiz is going to kill D-Wiz's brother. Sorry, is going to kill Lou. And Breeze is going to be revealed early, and we're going to see Ghost or Tommy or both by the end of the season in season 4. So those are my main predictions. And also, I think Marvin's going to get caught. He's. I don't think he can, at this point, go on the. I don't think he can continue to be as visible as he is right now. With this case that's going on. So I think he's going to get caught. So those are my predictions. Who wants to go next? Let me see. Are you ready, Dana, to give yours? You got all your predictions?
It's always me. Okay, so here's the thing. We need to find the trajectory between Jukebox staying in Queens and Jukebox going to DC. I do not believe. See, that picture's what really throws me. But who's to say that picture could be taken somewhere like in the end or the middle? We don't know what episode that picture comes from, right? So that's the thing. What if Jukebox does go to the army? You need to pass basic training. What if she just can't do it? And she can't make it to basic training. And they said, instead of the army, try the police force, right? And then not now. Later on, we get, this is why I'm going to DC. Because remember, she's not NYPD. She's Washington PD, right? She's in DC. I think it's DC PD. I don't know the PDs. But the point is, she somehow needs to get to Washington. And we do know, at least right now, that she keeps saying, I have to get away from this family. I have to get away. Right? So I believe maybe we do get the Jukebox does go off, but she can't pass basic training. Because I know when you literally say like, oh, maybe they just took Haley off the show because now she's like Haley the person is a singer. She's a real singer who's doing acting. And she has music that released, I believe, yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was during the time I did the interview. Her music released. So maybe she, as the person, is focusing on her music while they keep her off the show because she went to the army. And then later they bring her back. We don't know if that's because she had a break. We don't know if that's because she didn't pass basic training. We don't know the episode of which that picture was taken. So that's one of two things. For her to get away from her family, because she really does need to get away from her family at this moment. So that could be my prediction for Jukebox, but we do know eventually she goes to DC. I don't think her going into DC in season 4 is something that's right now. What if it's something that's so horrible or horrific that happens in 4 that is the final thread? Like we know, like, oh, I want to go, but the music, I really like the music. What happens if there's no possibility of returning to the music? Because no, she didn't make it as butter, or maybe she does make it as butter. We had this conversation before. 90s wasn't at Death Row Records and all those other places. I don't think they really care. But the point that I'm simply making is this: what happens in the future, we don't know yet. So she could be off the show, she could be out of the show, or she can try to do something solo, right? Lou is not available at the moment. What happens if Jukebox takes Lou's place in terms of with Famous? I don't know. Maybe a rapper and a singer doing things together. They're Mary J and Method Man. Who knows? So that is my I don't know prediction for Jukebox. In terms of Kanan, I think they're coming together, but that fracture, it seems to be something that might be permanent. I think that, I got your back, you got my back. Like I stated, parlay. But the way how we've hurt each other, we can't come back from. At the end of the day, yeah, Kanan set up everything. But that includes putting a hit on Raquel. And she predicted that. Remember when she was having the conversation with Marvin? And she was like, nah, Marvin was like, nah, it's not Kanan. Raquel said it's the people who you love the most, who basically are the ones that hurt you the most. At the end of the day, Kanan put that hit out on Raquel. I don't, unless it wasn't Ronnie, from my understanding. Was it Ronnie, or was it Kanan?
Yeah.
Am I confusing my own self?
No, it was Ronnie.
Oh, and then he said,
Ronnie.
okay, so
Yeah.
scratch that. I'm old, brain. Okay, point is this. With that situationship, I don't know whether or not Kanan and Raquel were working in on each other, but they seem to be so totally in shock with each other's actions that I don't think there was full communication. But I do think, as I said before, we do need that parlay because of Snaps and Pops is coming back. Also, another thing in terms of whatever we have with Marvin, I still don't believe Marvin is in the clear. That's just me. I don't see Marvin being in the clear. I think that this whole murder thing probably just made it worse, and that he probably should have just died at this point. Um, you know, I just don't see it. There's too many things. It doesn't close the case. It makes it more, what's really going on with Marvin. We close one chapter of the Howard situation, unless the FBI truly wants to just pin everything on Howard. But it seems that no one's communicating with each other in terms of how they're setting this up. Because remember, we have the FBI people who talked to Sean, famous, and they was like, just say that it's Marvin, right? And then we had the other conversation with the captain that was like, everything's Howard. So I'm confused. Are we going after Howard or Marvin or both? I don't know. So that's something that they have to figure out in the next season. In terms of Raquel, I would like to think that this is a really reflective moment for Raquel. That whole situation with the police, not the police, was it the police? With the therapist, sorry. And he was like, talk out your feelings. Nobody cares about me. What happens if we start to see a breakdown of Raquel? Yes, she is strong. She doesn't think about it. But remember, we had all of those voiceovers with Kanan, adult Kanan, that was basically saying it's eating you alive. You don't talk about it, but there's still ghosts that you're running away from. And at the very end of this episode, it did say, if you take anything at all from this BS, when you kill someone, make sure he's dead. Yes, that referred to Unique, but also in terms of ghosts, not everything that you think you've buried is dead. So I want to know more about her psychology going into the next season, because she made this big point of saying, I don't believe in therapy. And the therapist is like, yeah, but it's eating you up inside as well. So I want to see how that impacts her. I don't think, again, she'll never leave the business, but I want to see how that ends up bothering her later on. Snaps and Pops, I think, are going to be the huge villains of the season coming in, because we already discussed what happened with that. And then who am I missing? I did Kanan. Kanan is going to, like I say, separate himself. And whoever this Breeze person is, this is when he starts learning how to do things for himself. And this is when Kanan, Thomas, becomes Kanan Stark. And also really interesting, Jukebox changed her last name as well. She's not Thomas. In the future. So we're going to start seeing people pull away more. So that's kind of what I have to say.
Yeah, I like your note about Raquel. Like, I think it would be interesting to see a breakdown of her psychology, like maybe because we've seen her be very strong, but like, what if she starts to kind of break down a little bit from everything that's happening, because this has all been very traumatic, like, and there's only so long you can bottle everything up before it kind of explodes, so that would be interesting to watch take place.
Lastly, I forgot about Lulu. I'm going with your theories. he fixes himself. Because remember, when he went to go hang himself, he looked at himself in the mirror and was like, I'm standing as the man in the mirror. So maybe he's going to make a change. Because no message can be any clearer. If you want to make a change, you gotta better yourself. And then the irony is he's murdered by what you said, D-Wiz's brother, for the acts that he did of the past. So no matter what, no matter how much of a changed man he is, he's still haunted, and the ghosts literally come for him. Oh, that's poetic. Yum. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, Rich, how about you? What's your predictions for season 4?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's really clear. I just want to make this comment. Gary, you made a comment about Breeze. Your thought that we're going to find out who that is in the very first episode. I think that is a possibility. We need to get a backstory as to what happened to Unique after the previous episode, because I would like to see how he got to this point that he's at right now. And I call him Cracked Skull Unique. I'm not going to call him Breeze yet. I will call him Cracked Skull Unique, because obviously this guy looked messed up when we saw him in this episode. So I look forward to seeing that. I think the main theme of the next season is really about the war between Snaps and Pop. And at the same time, it's the rise of Kanan's empire, so to speak. I think there's going to be a lot of casualties. This is why I think you both made comments about them trying to get more allies. I can see that happening. This is why I like the theory of, yeah, there's going to be a lot of other characters introduced to try to get involved on either side of this battle. We know about what's been happening with as far as Marvin and the FBI basically coming after him. Now, I'm going to just tell you this right now. I'm not going to mince my words here. I think Marvin is going to get killed next season, right? Because while it would be great to see the character get arrested and go away, and yes, it would be motivation for Jukebox to somehow find a way to get him out, even though that's going to be impossible. I think something really bad has to happen to Marvin next season, because this entire season, Marvin has had nothing but positive wins for the most part. And then we saw at the very end when Gerald turned on him. And then, but again, by the end of this finale, Marvin is still fine. Nothing bad happened to him, right? So I kind of feel like seeing him get arrested, yes, that would feel bad, but seeing him outright get killed, that's enough to make Jukebox not care about anything else anymore. So I kind of think that has to happen. And it probably will happen next season. As for Lou, I agree with the both of you. I think he will become a changed man, but it will be too late, because D-Wiz's brother is coming for him, or somebody else. You know, there's no telling. So we have to see how that comes together. But I definitely expect a lot of bloodshed next season. And by the end of that season, I think the war will be over. Kanan will find himself as now, he basically is going to get a lot of street cred once they finally do get rid of the old generation, which is Pops and Snaps and Pops. This is when Kanan actually has his rise to dominance. And that's when I think they're going to introduce Ghost and Tommy, because, you know, at that point, then they can go underneath him and he could teach them everything they know. I did think that they would introduce them in the midst of this war, but I think this is going to be after the war, because there's going to be a lot of people getting, you know, a lot of things happening with this war next season. But that's just my guess as to what could happen. And yes, we will see somebody go in Stefano's furnace. That 1000% is going to happen next season. Go ahead, Dana.
A quick retort. In order for, from my understanding, it was Kanan who taught Kanan who taught Ghost and Tommy everything? Is that correct? Or was it Ghost? Here's my thing. I think it's best if they come in 5, not 4. Why?
Yep.
Kanan's still dumb. So you can't be the leader and the kingpin of everything and teach others if you're still learning yourself.
Much as he can from.
I think that's why I think it's too soon to bring them in. Is because my understanding, you know, Breeze was still alive when everyone knew each other. You can maybe introduce him towards the latter season of 4, and then 5 we get the things start rolling. But I don't know. Maybe because of this war situation, that's how he ends up meeting Tommy and Ghost. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still the kind of person who doesn't want to see him yet.
Yeah, I'm not like I don't think they're gonna be in season 4 a lot. Like I think it's literally you see how we got teased with Unique in this episode. I think it's literally gonna be that in season 4. Like we just get teased with Ghost or Tommy or both at the very end of season 4. So then we know they're in season 5.
I mean, we got a Tommy tease technically earlier this season.
Oh yeah,
so you're some 2 new associates. So what you're saying is we're going to have a scene where Kanan's going to be sitting down to talk to 2 other people that are going to join him, and we're just going to see the back of Tommy and Ghost's head. We're not going to see their face, is what you're saying. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly like that. Like new recruits.
Yeah.
Like Breeze comes in, like Kanan's sitting at the head of the table, like The Rock or something, and Breeze comes in. And he's like, look, I got some new recruits from the block. And then we just, we see Ghost and Tommy come in. We see the back of their head. Like,
yeah.
So
well, but in all seriousness, no. When they do introduce them, I would love to see the back of the head. You don't need to see the face yet, because people will recognize, oh, their hairstyle looks very similar to Tommy, or but although they may not look entirely the same as kids. But yeah, we'll see. Go ahead, Danny.
I just want to quickly say that they're currently filming. They just filmed 4 in Yonkers. So Yonkers, New York. So in terms of episode 4, season 4, episode 4. So then that means, unless they're doing it completely out of order, which is the case sometimes, Unique standing in the doorway could have been in the beginning half of Raising Kanan. But again, TV shows film out of sequence all the time.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna end it off there. Very long episode, but we're gonna be gone for a while, guys. So just listen to this in parts if you have to. Pause it, listen. It's all good, but we're gonna be gone for a while. So it is a bit longer, and it's the finale, so it was gonna always be longer. But let's end with some shout outs. Because I definitely want to show love to some of the people who have been supportive of the Powercast, for a long time. So first of all, I want to show some of our Spotify commenters some love, because we did get, a few comments on Spotify. So first of all, shouts to Sean. I think he literally just left a comment today, I think, because he saw the finale and he was like, yeah, it was good. So he just left a comment on episode 9 on our episode 9 recap. So shouts to him. And then also shouts to G Johnson, who has commented a few times on the Spotify as well. So shouts to you. And then I also want to shout out some of the YouTube commenters, Anti Mike, Jay Venner, SJ Smith, Tracy Lee, Rainy J, Inga, and and then also I have to give a big shout out also to Dimitri and MovieBot, especially MovieBot, because he's shown a lot of love to us this season, shouting us out and everything. And yeah, for those who don't know, we actually met as well, and we're working on a project. So big shouts to MovieBot. He loves the show, and we enjoy what he does too. Like he's really good with the theories. He has a very good eye for detail. So yeah, I know some of you guys probably watch his videos too. So big shouts to MovieBot, and shouts to Dimitri also from United Talks, the United Talks football channel. So if you're in the UK, it's football. You guys overseas, you call it soccer, but we call it football. So he's on a channel called United Talks, where they talk about Man United and the football. So definitely go check that out. That's Dimitri. So those are my shout outs. And yeah, so Richard, you got shout outs for us? Or you're not ready yet?
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that's been commenting on the show on YouTube. We appreciate your continued support, all of your theories, your feedback. Definitely let us know what you thought about the finale. And obviously, we're looking forward to returning to do Ghosts, because I do expect the Ghost season 4 announcement release date soon, probably after sometime in May. But stay tuned for that. But yes, I just want to take time for all of you that take the time to watch the show, to hear our discussions and comment. We very much appreciate your support. We would not be doing this show if you guys didn't show support. So I wanted to take time to thank all of you for your continued support. And we look forward to covering the rest of the Power shows in the months ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dana?
Thank you to everyone who has listened to us for the whole season and previous seasons, and our newcomers, old comers, all the comers. That's what she said. So thank you so much for listening to us. We really do love this show and love this breakdown with everything. We look forward to the next season. I will be back with BMF because I have to do all of the interviews with the cast. So if you are a BMFer, you can check out the interviews in March. The show comes back in March. That'll be dropping very soon. God, where's the year? So thank you for that. Also, we have multiple channels, as you already know. If you like video games, check out the Koalition video game channel. And also, I am running over the Koalition Entertainment channel, where we have all of the interviews, and we right now are covering WrestleMania, which is surprisingly a very popular thing. So we got interviews with actors, singers, everything that you can think of is a little hodgepodge of entertainment goodiness. And again, I will be back with BMF interviews. I really wish Monique would have said that she was on the show, because she is on the show for this season and like has a very important storyline. But she was busy too, yelling at other people. But yeah, we'll be back with that. Well, I'll be back with that. So thank you so much to everyone who has listened to us and will continue to listen to us.
Oh yeah, definitely check out the BMF interviews when they come out. There's still some Power interviews coming out too from Dana, so make sure you
We
guys
still have Power. We have Sasha Penn, who is the showrunner, and we have, I think, Stefano and maybe one other one, and Famous and Kanan explaining their break.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so definitely check that out. And I don't want to forget as well. Big shouts to stars, Sasha Penn, the whole cast, all the talent involved. I am salty about the screener. I'm not gonna lie, but but I understand why. It was a big surprise. It just means we had to readjust a little bit, but it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, big shouts to stars. Yeah, we love what you do. We love this season. Amazing work. But yeah, so we're gonna end it off on that. We'll be back for Ghost when that returns. Look out for the announcements soon, hopefully. Hopefully we get trailer and everything like that. Michael Rainey Jr. has been teasing, so yeah. Look out for announcements, and we'll be checking the comments. We'll be replying, seeing what everyone thinks and everyone's predictions for season 4. But yeah, until the next time, peace out, everyone. Take care of yourselves.